Chapter 233. When Yu Yang arrived at the arena, Xue Qianren, who was waiting there, immediately forfeited. The reason was that he was severely injured by Dragon Ambassador Qianlan Yu, a disciple of the Eastern Ocean Crystal Palace. He was still waiting in the arena, hoping that Yu Yang would not be able to participate in the competition and would be absent so that he could advance to the next round. Now that Yu Yang had arrived, Xue Qianren decided to forfeit after exchanging glances with floating Miss Sec's junior sec leader by Yunfei. It was only now that Yu Yang finally saw the pitiful guy's former love rival, Xue Qianren, and his new rival by Yunfei. Xue Qianren did not look like his father Xue Tao, but he looked like his uncle Xue Tuesday. Although he had Xue Tu's shrewdness, he did not have Xue Tu's experience and steadiness. Between his brows, there was a hint of hostility, as if he had a lot of resentment towards Yu Yang. Below the arena, Bai Yunfei was the focus of attention. Although he was not the one fighting in the arena, people could not help but look at him, treating him as the center of attention. Bai Yunfei stood in the crowd like a bright moon among the stars, emitting a radiance that no one could ignore. His every move, every smile, and every word was very attention-grabbing. In terms of appearance, Bai Yunfei also had a handsome appearance that countless men were jealous of. He was tall and slender, dressed in snow-white clothes, a silver belt around his waist, and a purple jade belt. His noble temperament made even the princes of the world feel ashamed of their inferiority. What caught everyone's attention was a golden dragon that had shrunk its body using a secret technique. This was a noble dragon that was supposed to be flying proudly in the sky, the king of the dragon race. However, it was lying at his feet in an extremely docile manner, quietly waiting for his command. One of Bai Yunfei's summoned beasts was a gold-ranked level 7 golden dragon king. This was an existence that made people despair. Most warriors would not be able to obtain a gold-ranked beast in their entire lives, let alone a gold-ranked level 7 golden dragon king. He is demonstrating his strength to you. City Mistress Fallen Flowers laughed. Why don't you show him your golden king beast too? Forget it. It's fine if I'm trying so hard to woo a little girl, but the other party is a guy. Why should I compete with a stinky guy? Yu Yang shrugged. The referee signaled for Yu Yang to go up the stage. Although Xue Qianren had already forfeited, he still had to fulfill his duty and register Yu Yang's information, such as the beasts he used. When he saw Yu Yang summon a quintet seeking golden mice, he was instantly dumbfounded. This kind of puppet mouse had no combat power, and this brat had the nerve to summon it? Could it be that he had to report to the higher-ups that this brat had defeated Xue Qianren with a puppet mouse? Wouldn't this make people suspect that it was fake? This blue-clothed referee really wanted Yu Yang to summon a stronger beast. If he didn't summon a gold-ranked beast, then a silver-ranked or bronze-ranked beast would be good too. If he summoned a whole mouse puppet, everyone would easily suspect him of cheating, and he wouldn't be able to explain himself. Seeing that Yu Yang was preparing to leave, the referee hurriedly asked, "Fellow student Yu Yang, can you summon an even stronger beast?" Puppet mice are not combat-type beasts. Yu Yang summoned another normal-ranked level 1 spitting thorny flower. The referee almost vomited blood. Puppet mouse spitting thorny flower. Could it be that this brat was the legendary fanatic of trashy beasts, a madman whose goal was to collect trashy beasts all his life? The audience below the stage roared with laughter. They had seen many strange beasts, but they had never seen a contestant who could summon trashy beasts like a puppet mouse or a spitting thorny flower in the 100 Schools Elite Tournament. Especially when compared to the junior sect leader by Yunfei's noble gold dragon king. It seemed even more pathetic and insignificant. Don't you have any other combat-type beasts? The blue-clothed referee used his last bit of patience and asked, "I do, but in comparison, the thorny flower is already considered not bad. Moreover, I'm a level 2 brave man. Summoning 2 beasts a day is already my limit." Yu Yang shrugged his shoulders, indicating that he couldn't help even if he wanted to. When he said that, the audience below the stage roared with laughter. The blue-clothed referee was speechless. Level 2 brave man? He wondered how this brat managed to enter the top 20 Miss round-robin tournament. Could it be that he was just lucky and people gave up all the way, allowing him to bring a bunch of trashy beasts to enter the group stage? Looking at the record, he realized that this brat had actually eliminated the Tian Luo prince. He immediately felt a little relieved. So this brat was a warrior who majored in combat skills. No wonder he could enter the group stage with trashy beasts. Bai Yunfei, who was below the stage, laughed. He didn't think that the Yu clan's third young master, who Xie Qianren feared so much, only had 2 trashy beasts. This Yu clan's third young master was known as trash in the past, but he had defeated many experts and even beat up 2 disciples of the Floating Mist sect. If he was just a brute who majored in combat skills, how could Xie Qianren be so afraid of him? Bai Yunfei felt that this Yu clan's third young master was showing weakness to numb him. A smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. So he is the Yu clan's third young master? Not bad. He thought to himself, you know how to hide your strength and don't show your strongest trump card. When have I ever shown my strongest trump card? I've shown my Golden Dragon King Beast. Isn't this a strategy to suppress and divert attention? On the other side, in a private room with a small window opened, a shadow flashed past. Bai Yunfei knew that it was the Prince of Zijin. Although the Prince of Zijin looked arrogant on the surface, this fellow was definitely a shrewd opponent. If he had to choose his strongest opponent, Bai Yunfei felt that his strongest opponent would most probably be this Prince of Zijin, followed by the Yu clan's third young master and the Dragon Spear Girl. The second group elimination round had already ended, but the audience did not leave the arena. This was because there were still other types of competitions after this, including the team competition that everyone loved to watch. Different from the hot-blooded individual competitions, the team competition was the most exciting and the most intense competition. It was also the hardest to predict the outcome of the competition. The strength of the team was very important. Sometimes, no matter how strong an individual was, he would still be mercilessly eliminated. There were 2 ways to compete in the team competition. The 2 teams would discuss and decide. If they could not come to an agreement, the referee would toss a gold coin to decide. The first way was the unlimited battle. Both teams would send out 5 people each. Each team would send out 1 person for each round. If they had enough strength, 1 person could fight against 5 people and obtain victory. In the unlimited battle, both teams could change their players at any time. However, once the first team had won 5 battles, it would mean that they had won. In the unlimited battle, both teams could change their players at any time. However, once the first team had won 5 battles, it would mean that they had won. The other way was the unlimited battle. Both teams would send out 5 players each, but they would strictly follow the order of the battle. Vanguard would fight against Vanguard, General would fight against General, Marshal would fight against Marshal. Only when the 2nd General and the 4th Deputy Marshal went on stage would they be able to replace their players. This kind of unlimited battle was even more intense and cruel. 3 out of 5 battles. Even if one of the players was extremely strong, if his teammates were trash, he would be defeated 3 times in a row. It would be a complete tragedy. Normally, teams with extremely strong players would choose the unlimited battle. On the other hand, teams with average strength and good strategies would choose the unlimited battle. Compared to first, the audience would prefer the second way. This was because the second way was even more intense and cruel. For example, if Bai Yunfei participated in the team battle, if his teammates were trash and he chose the second way, he would be very tragic. This kind of unlimited battle could better reflect the strength and strategies of the team. This was because the starting lineup would not be leaked before the battle. If Bai Yunfei's team allowed the opponent to guess Bai Yunfei's position, the opponent would send out the weakest player to be responsible for giving up. The remaining players would be able to defeat the opponent. Of course, it would be a dream to hope that Bai Yunfei's teammates were trash. Bai Yunfei's teammates were 3 disciples of the Floating Mist sect. They were extremely strong. One of them was Xue Qianren, and the other was a mysterious person who had not fought yet. However, people believed that this super substitute strength was only below Bai Yunfei's. Other than Dragon Ambassador Qin Lanyu, who had severely injured the weakest Xue Qianren from the Eastern Ocean Crystal Palace, The other three members of the team had been completely defeated. Bai Yunfei did not even need to fight to obtain a huge victory. It was now Yu Yang's team's turn to compete. Previously, it had always been Yi Kong, Fatty Hai, and the Li Clan brothers competing. Today, Fatty Hai's smelly hands had drawn another big prize. Yin Pejun, Yu Tian, Yu Yin, Lai Ban, Feng Qisha, and the other strong enemies formed the Shangjing Academy team against the Ivy Academy team formed by Fatty Hai, Yi Kong, Li Xie, Li Gu, and Yu Bing. It was really a narrow road for enemies. If it wasn't for Yu Yang's super substitute, they would have been completely oppressed. If Yu Bing did not fight with Yin Pejun or Feng Qisha, she would probably not have a tragic ending. Even if they fought, it would be hard to say who would win, but they would definitely not lose miserably. However, Yi Kong and Fatty Hai were tragic. No matter who they met, they would not be able to win. I'm not going to compete anymore. I just came out from the 12 Zodiac temples. I'm so tired that I haven't recovered yet. You guys fight well. If you lose, I'll tell the eagle-eyed guy and ask him to take care of you. Yi Yang was very ruthless. Not only did he not want to compete, he even hit them when they were down. Don't worry, I will definitely work hard. Other than Yu Bing, who maintained her fighting spirit, Yi Kong, Fatty Hai, and the other spirits were like frozen eggplants. Farewell, beauties of the soaring dragon continent. Fatty Hai was the vanguard of the team. According to the second restriction rule that the referee had tossed a gold coin, his opponent would be his old enemy. Yin Pejun Fatty Hai knew that he was done for, completely done for. Forget about the fact that Yu Yang would not compete. Even if he could, he would not be able to replace him. Bai Yunfei and Prince of Zijin did not leave. Instead, they quietly observed the strength of Yu Yang's team. Especially Bai Yunfei, he kept glancing at Princess Sisai. When he saw that she was sitting beside Yu Yang, there seemed to be a strange glint in her eyes. It seemed to be a kind of killing intent, but also a kind of greed. Princess Sisai did not bat an eyelid, completely ignoring Bai Yunfei's existence. On the other hand, City Mistress Fallen Flowers hated that kind of gaze. She quickly pulled the curtain on one side of the room, covering her side. Fatty Hai walked up the stage, trembling with fear. Yin Pejun was already waiting for him. We meet again, Student Hai. Your Hippo Meteor Punch is unforgettable. I hope that you will not forfeit again today. Let's have a good fight. Yin Pejun was smiling on the surface, but in his heart, he really wanted to roast Fatty Hai into a roasted pig. He had never suffered such a loss before. Furthermore, with Bai Yunfei and Prince of Zijin's strength, he had been dispirited for the past 2 days. People were talking about him behind his back, but he could not lift his head. I'm barefoot. Why would I be afraid of you wearing shoes? I'm just a trash, so it's not shameful for me to lose. Student Pejun, you are a noble and delicate person. If I hurt you, don't cry. Unexpectedly, Fatty Hai did not forfeit. Instead, he chose to fight a blood battle. This blood battle was a type of battle without rules. It was divided into 3 rounds, upper, middle, and lower. Each round lasted for 3 minutes, with 1 minute to rest and arrange tactics in between. Unless one was on the verge of death and lost consciousness, the contestant could not forfeit. When Yin Pejun saw that Fatty Hai had chosen a blood battle that no one would normally choose, his expression changed slightly. However, a mocking smile immediately appeared on his face. In his heart, he thought that Fatty Hai was courting death. However, on the surface, he humbly praised him. Student Hai is really bold. Regarding your choice of blood battle, I, Pejun, admire you very much. I will fight with you with all my might. Not only did he not forfeit, he even wanted to fight a blood battle. Yi Kong and the others were shocked by Fatty Hai's strong imagination. They were dumbstruck, wondering if Fatty Hai had eaten the wrong pig medicine. Yu Yang and Princess Sisai had started to make a bet. The outcome seemed to be related to running around naked. Chapter 234. Other than Yu Yang, no one would be optimistic about Fatty Hai's chances. Everyone thought that Fatty Hai would die a horrible death. Although Yin Pejun had lost the prestige of the 3 great killing stars under the influence of Bai Yunfei and Prince of Zijin, he was still one of the 3 great killing stars. Normal people wouldn't be able to do anything to him. Before this, no one knew who Fatty Hai was. It was only when he successfully ambushed Yin Pejun with his hippo meteor fist that people realized that there was such a wretched fatty in the world. As for Fatty Hai's record of being knocked out of the arena in the shortest time, it was also discussed enthusiastically. Some people even wanted to write a book about it after the 100 Schools Elite competition. Fatty Hai's shameful record of being defeated in less than 10 seconds was unavoidable. He would probably be ranked in the top 10 of the list. This time, Yin Pejun didn't have the intention to kill Fatty Hai instantly. He planned to kill him in front of everyone and turn him into a roasted pig. Begin, the blue-clothed referee ordered. Fatty Hai didn't even have time to summon his grimoire before Yin Pejun pounced on him. Raging flames exploded from the top of his head. Fatty Hai didn't have the ability to instantly summon his grimoire. Summoning grimoires had always been his weakness. Although it had improved a lot after some special training, it was still slower than Yin Pejun's lightning-fast speed. Fatty Hai's whole body was on fire, but it wasn't fatal. Yin Pejun wasn't in a hurry to kill him instantly. With the support of the Iron Rhinoceros and Little Hippopotamus, although Fatty Hai was howling in pain, he wasn't beaten up by Yin Pejun without any power to retaliate. Hippo Meteor Fist was charging up again. Yin Pejun punched and kicked Fatty Hai's face, the top of his head, the back of his head, and even his back. The raging flames roasted Fatty Hai's skin with his fists. When Fatty Hai used his Hippo Meteor Fist, Yin Pejun, who was already prepared, retreated like a falling leaf, completely dodging the powerful fist. Flame Crane Dance in the sky. Yin Pejun summoned a flame crane and used it on his body. His arms were like the wings of a crane as they spread out gracefully. The raging flames burned the sky. The moment Fatty Hai's Hippo Meteor Fist missed, the flames engulfed Fatty Hai's body. "Oh my God!" Fatty Hai cried out as he was burned. Even though he rolled 18 times, he couldn't extinguish the raging flames on his body. When the spectators saw him overestimating himself and fighting with Yin Pejun, they all laughed loudly. Within a minute, Fatty Hai had been burned by Yin Pejun's raging flames at least 10 times. 8 of them were hit by Yin Pejun's raging flames, and he had only managed to dodge 2 of them. Fatty Hai had retaliated with Hippo Meteor Punch 3 times, but none of them hit Fatty Hai. If he didn't summon his grimoire and raise his shield, he would have become a roasted pig. When the blue-clothed referee saw Fatty Hai raising his shield, he immediately ordered the assistant referee to stop the timer. He also warned Fatty Hai not to stay in the shield for too long, and not to be passive in the match. With great difficulty, Fatty Hai extinguished the fire on his body. When he came out, he was already beyond recognition. His face was similar to that of a coal miner, and his clothes were even more tattered. In the first round, within 3 minutes, Fatty Hai had fallen 20 times to the ground. His face had been beaten until it looked like a pig's head. His head, chest, back, and hand were all burnt black. His skin and flesh were burnt, and there was even the smell of burnt meat in the air. If Yikong didn't drag him down, Fatty Hai wouldn't be able to walk down the stage. "Are you crazy? Why didn't you give up?" Yikong really wanted to give Fatty Hai 2 tight slaps. He knew that Fatty Hai wanted to become stronger and had been training very hard. However, with just 2 months of training, wanting to defeat Yin Pejun was just a dream. Yin Pejun was hit by Hippo Meteor Fist because he was careless. It wasn't Fatty Hai's true strength. "Nonsense. I'm a boss. How could I give up?" Although Fatty Hai was beaten to a pig's head, he was still stubborn. You condensed 2 healing water balls. Otherwise, with just a little bit of healing power from the healing crystal, it would be impossible for him to recover. With the healing water balls, Fatty Hai was like a coal miner. However, he was not lacking in water. He still had his life. In the second round, Yin Pejun beat him up even more miserably. Just as the battle was about to end, Yin Pejun intersected his fingers with Fatty Hai's in order to humiliate him even more. He then used his flames to burn Fatty Hai's hands, causing the skin and flesh of Fatty Hai's hands to split open. The bones of Fatty Hai's fingers were all broken as he struggled, but Yin Pejun still didn't let go. The blue-clothed referee rushed forward and shouted, "It's time. Let go immediately." Only then did Yin Pajun release Fatty Hai complacently. He pretended to be refined and courteous as he cupped his fists towards Fatty Hai. Of course, the disdain in his eyes could be seen even by a blind person. "What? You still want to fight?" Yikong felt that if Fatty Hai wasn't crazy, then he was. "I still have a trump card. If I don't hit him once, I won't stop. I'm your boss, so I have to act like a boss. Even if I can't win, I have to fight with all my might. Otherwise, how will you little brothers look at me? I'm the boss." Fatty Hai panted and coughed up blood. 2 of his ribs had been broken by Yin Pajun. "It's because you're the boss that you can't die. If you die, we won't have anyone to take the blame." Yikong said. Yu, who was in charge of healing, almost fainted. City Mistress Fallen Flowers also couldn't bear to watch. She pulled Yu Yang and said, "Say a few words and make him admit defeat. Don't fight like this, even if you're looking for trouble." Yu Yang stretched half of his body out from the private room and made a thumbs-up gesture. Fatty Hai kept looking at the private room. When he saw Yu Yang's gesture with his eyes that were so swollen that he couldn't even open them, his broken mouth suddenly revealed a strange smile. His whole body suddenly had a kind of radiance like the last light of the setting sun, making Yu Bing, and Inan, the 3 girls, worried. They thought that this fatty wouldn't die just like that, right? Princess Sisai looked at Yu Yang with a complicated expression. "Do you still think that he will win against Yin Pajun?" Yu Yang smiled. "If he loses, I'll strip naked in front of you." City Mistress Fallen Flowers jeered. "That's good. If Qian loses, she'll also run naked in front of you." "Haha, I'm starting to look forward to Fatty's miracles." Princess Sisai's face turned red, but she didn't believe that Fatty Hai could turn defeat into victory under such a disadvantageous situation. She lightly spat at Yu Yang and shook her head. "Impossible. Fatty will definitely lose. He didn't ask you to run naked. Just forget about what happened last time." "That won't do. That's a different matter." City Mistress Fallen Flowers defended Yu Yang and strongly opposed. "You didn't fulfill your promise when you lost last time. If you lose, you'll strip naked together. I'll be the judge." Before she finished speaking, Princess Sisai pounced on her and forcefully pressed her down. She started to tear off City Mistress Fallen Flowers' clothes. "Even if I want to strip naked, I'll first peel you into a little white sheep. If your highness doesn't have enough manpower, I can sign up. Moreover, this kind of work is free." Yu Yang looked at the 2 girls who were fooling around and swallowed a mouthful of saliva. "Pervert!" The 2 girls snorted at the same time and pounced on Yu Yang at the same time. They pressed him down and started to tear off his clothes. "Gosh, a pervert meets a female pervert. 2 heroines. Can't you be a little gentler? This is actually my first time having a threesome." Yu Yang decided not to resist. Wasn't it just a threesome? Let's have a threesome even more ferocious. Seeing this pervert's calm expression, the 2 girls gritted their teeth in hatred. They couldn't help but open their little white teeth and bite him. Then, without waiting for Yu Yang's reaction, they jumped up and sat on the windowsill like a lady. No matter how thick-skinned Yu Yang was, he wouldn't dare to take revenge by stripping their clothes in front of everyone's eyes. It was even more impossible for him to open his mouth and bite them back. Although the 2 girls' trick had succeeded, Yu Yang wasn't at a disadvantage. He squeezed himself between them and sat down. On the surface, he looked at the competition below with a serious expression, but underneath, his hands were caressing the 2 girls' waists, one hugging 2 beauties. Towards Yu Yang's lustful and greedy behavior, Princess Sisai's reaction was to slap away the wolf's claw. City Mistress Fallen Flowers didn't. Her delicate body trembled slightly, and her small hands hurriedly caught his bad hand, pressing it gently on her slender waist. As long as he obediently didn't move, she would tacitly let him hug her. Princess Sisai saw this and silently said something to City Mistress Fallen Flowers. City Mistress Fallen Flowers also silently replied. Yu Yang didn't understand. Why did the 2 girls know how to read lips? When he looked at Princess Sisai with an inquiring gaze, he found that her face was a little gloomy, as if she was puffing up her cheeks. He couldn't help but stretch out his hand, wanting to caress her little face to comfort her. However, Princess Sisai was shocked by his actions. Letting him touch her face in front of everyone's eyes? She hurriedly stretched out her hand and caught his big hand. Yu Yang wanted to break free, but she was afraid that Yu Yang would act recklessly, so she resolutely refused to let him go. She firmly held onto Yu Yang's hand with both of her hands, preventing him from moving. City Mistress Fallen Flowers saw this scene and laughed out loud. Her other small hand continuously waved her pink fist, lightly hitting Yu Yang's chest. She was overjoyed, but Princess Sisai's expression was even more gloomy. She still didn't dare to let go of Yu Yang. In the end, when she saw Fatty Hai enter the arena, she didn't care about the fight anymore and focused on the next match. She was sure that the gesture that Yu Yang made just now was not to praise Fatty Hai's courage, but some kind of tactical instruction. It might be a counterattack tactic. Fatty Hai would definitely counterattack next. It all depended on whether the tactical plan that Yu Yang made for him would work or not. Yin Pejun pounced over with raging flames and punched Fatty Hai's nose heavily. The super heavy punch broke Fatty Hai's nose, and the raging flames poured into his mouth and nose. Fatty Hai's eyes rolled back, and he fell to the ground with a loud bang. Princess Sisai was dumbfounded. Was this the tactic that Yu Yang made for Fatty Hai? Was he pretending to be dead after falling to the ground in one move? Or did Fatty Hai not have enough physical strength to support himself? She looked at Yu Yang and found that the big bad guy still had a smile on his face. He looked like a little fox that had stolen a chick to eat. She immediately felt relieved. It seemed that there was still hope. Fatty Hai fell to the ground in one hit. Maybe it was a tactic to confuse the enemy. As expected, Yin Pejun laughed complacently when he saw that Fatty Hai couldn't even withstand a single blow. He wasn't in a hurry to throw Fatty Hai off the arena. Instead, he humiliated him with his hands. Yin Pejun stepped on Fatty Hai's head and signaled to the referee, "He is already on the verge of death. If you don't announce that I have obtained an overwhelming victory, then I will kick him off the arena." Just when the blue-clothed referee was about to announce Fatty Hai's defeat, a distorted voice suddenly came from the bottom of Yin Pejun's feet. "Who said that I am on the verge of death? I'm only sleeping. I can even sleep with 7 girls tonight. Why would I be on the verge of death?" Fatty Hai grabbed Yin Pejun's right leg with both of his hands and lifted him up inch by inch. His pig-like face that was covered in blood revealed a strange smile. "Student Pejun, you hit me so hard. Now, I'll return it to you 10 times more. Dream on." Yin Pejun didn't think that Fatty Hai would still be so stubborn even though he was already half dead. His heart was filled with rage as flames erupted from his feet. Amidst the raging flames, Fatty Hai lifted Yin Pejun up and smashed him heavily on the arena. Yin Pejun felt a slight pain in his body. He bounced up and summoned his flaming lion to support him. The aura of a lion king exploded as raging flames soared to the sky, spreading throughout the entire arena. The audience below the arena felt the heat wave pressing down on them. Even the blue-clothed referee was forced to the edge of the arena by the flames, almost falling off the arena. However, Fatty Hai slowly walked towards Yin Pejun amidst the raging flames. His swollen and blood-stained ugly face looked a little sinister. "It's useless. My beast is of the water attribute. Do you understand? You want to burn me, Master Hai, to death with just a little fire?" Fatty Hai stretched out his hand. Under everyone's shocked gaze, he easily caught Yin Pejun's heavy fist. With a loud roar, he lifted Yin Pejun up and smashed him heavily on the arena for the second time. His flying body was like a boulder smashing a crab to death, smashing heavily on the arena. Rumble. The entire arena was deeply moved. For the first time, Yin Pejun's face revealed a pained expression. Princess Sisai saw this and grabbed Yu Yang's arm in surprise. "You must have taught him that. What secret technique did you teach Fatty?" "Normal attacks are useless against Yin Pejun, but it's effective now. What secret technique is that?" Chapter 235. Yu Yang pretended to be mysterious and smiled without replying. Princess Sisai saw that this brat was smiling too proudly. She was furious and wanted to pinch his face. However, when she raised her hand, she felt that it was too intimate and quickly retracted her hand. In the arena, Fatty Hai was fighting with Yin Pejun previously. He had been beaten up by Yin Pejun. Now it was different. He was starting to fight back. Originally, Yin Pejun had used his element-type flame crane. When the heavy punches landed on him, he could easily dodge them. Even if they hit, they would be completely neutralized by the flame spirit. However, at this moment, Fatty Hai's punches were all 100% accurate. Yin Pejun's element-type flame crane's defense had completely lost its effectiveness. Under such a heavy setback, Yin Pejun could only use the flaming Lion King's body to fight against Fatty Hai. This Fatty's beast and Yin Pejun's beast are incompatible. Furthermore, he has a special secret technique that allows him to infuse water attribute energy into Yin Pejun's body. Bai Yunfei's eyes flashed as if he had seen through Fatty Hai's fighting ability. "You mean Yin Pejun will lose?" Xie Qianren asked in surprise. "No. Even if this Fatty's beast is incompatible with Yin Pejun's, his strength and beast are still far from Yin Pejun's. He is just struggling on his deathbed. The only bright spot is the secret technique that infuses energy into Yin Pejun's body. If I'm not wrong, this secret technique was taught to him by the Yu clan's third young master. In the Yu clan, I heard that there is a battle technique that has been lost for thousands of years. It is called hitting the cow across the mountain. I suspect that this secret technique is the hitting the cow across the mountain." When Bai Yunfei mentioned the hitting the cow across the mountain, his eyes shone even brighter. The hitting the cow across the mountain that has been lost for thousands of years. Xie Qianren's gaze swept towards Yu Yang in the opposite box. Seeing Yu Yang's expression that seemed like a smile, yet not a smile, his heart could not help but tremble. Now, he understood a little why Miss Shui was not willing to accept his marriage proposal, even though she was rejected by the Yu clan's third young master. The difference was too huge. The Yu clan's third young master was an innate and had even regained the hitting the cow across the mountain that had been lost for thousands of years. Even Dragon Ambassador Qin Lan Yu could not defeat him. In comparison, it was like the difference between clouds and mud. No wonder Miss Shui of the Shui family looked down on him. However, the stronger this Yu clan's third young master was, the better it would be. The Floating Mist sect's junior sect leader Bai Yunfei was arrogant and thought highly of himself. If he was defeated by the Yu clan's third young master, he would definitely not accept it and would most likely do his best to take revenge. It would be best if the arrogant Bai Yunfei was killed by the abnormal Yu Yang. At that time, the experts of the Floating Mist sect would come out in full force and attack the Yu clan castle. The more chaotic the battle between the Floating Mist sect and the Yu clan was, the more advantageous it would be for the Xie clan. No matter if it was by Yunfei or Yu Yang, it would be a good thing for the Xie clan if either of them died. It would be best if Bai Yunfei fought hard and perished together with Yu Yang. Although Xie Qianren looked calm on the surface, his heart was in turmoil. Every time Fatty Hai punched Yin Pejun, he would receive at least 10 punches from Yin Pejun, maybe even more. But he fought to the death without retreating. Time passed by minute. When there was only 1 minute left in the third round, Yu Yang stretched his hand out of the window and crossed his hands. At this time, Yin Pejun's back was facing Yu Yang as he fiercely attacked Fatty Hai. He did not see the hand gesture that Yu Yang made in the private room. However, Fatty Hai, who had been paying attention to Yu Yang's hand gesture with the corner of his eyes, saw Yu Yang's hand gesture and his expression changed. He became confident and resolute. He made the same hand gesture as Yu Yang, crossing his hands in front of his chest. Below the stage, Yu Tian and Yu Yin had also noticed Yu Yang's hand gesture. Seeing that the situation was not good, they quickly reminded Yin Pejun, "Pejun, be careful of his counterattack." The two's warning was exactly what Yin Pejun was worried about. He felt that Fatty Hai had no reason to fight a bloody battle with him, unless Yu Yang had some kind of secret technique that could bring him back to life. In the first 2 rounds, Fatty Hai was completely beaten like a pig's head, but Yin Pejun did not let his guard down. In the third round, Fatty High, who'd been beaten badly by him, still wanted to fight again. Fatty High had even used his hidden force to break his chi shield. This made Yin Pejun even more suspicious. As he retracted his fist and retreated, Yin Pejun used a tenth of a second to look at Yu Yang, who was in the private room. He realized that Yu Yang was making the same hand gesture as Fatty High, and his heart tightened. Not good. Yu Yang had really taught Fatty High some kind of secret technique. Hippo Meteor Punch. Fatty High used his useless Hippo Meteor Punch again. This time, no one laughed at his slow punching speed. Previously, when he used Hippo Meteor Punch, Yin Pejun could beat him half to death without waiting for him to make a move. Now that Yin Pejun had retreated, Fatty High's Hippo Meteor Punch's full power was unleashed. It went from extremely slow to extremely fast, faster than lightning. When Fatty High leapt up high and smashed down towards Yin Pejun, his fist bombarded down like a meteor. Even Feng Qisha's expression turned cold. This kind of fist speed was already very close to the fastest slash of his 7-killing sword slash. Bai Yunfei frowned. Xie Qianren saw this and realized that this was the first time this junior, elder, had frowned. Xue Qianren was slightly happy. Hee, when I meet that abnormal Yu Yang, it would not be enough to just frown. I will have to suffer a lot more in the future. If you know that he is an innate, you could just wait to cry. Danger! Yu Tian and Yu Yin cried out in fear. If they would be hit by this kind of meteor-like fist, it would be dangerous. Yin Pejun twisted his waist and turned around. His whole body was covered in flames as he soared into the sky. In a thousandth of a second, he narrowly dodged the fist. His body and Fatty High's fist brushed past each other. Yin Pejun secretly thought that it was a close shave. He felt a pain on his face and stretched out his hand to wipe it. He realized that his face had been scratched by Fatty High's fist and was bleeding. Fortunately, this fist did not hit him. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Fatty High's fist missed. He couldn't stop in time and smashed heavily onto the stage. Amidst the loud rumbling sound, the power of Fatty High's fist smashed a corner of the stage into smithereens. Broken stones flew everywhere, and mud and dust flew everywhere. Yin Pejun fell back to the ground, his body drenched in cold sweat. If he hadn't retreated a few steps back just now and had been hit by Fatty High's fist, even if he wasn't heavily injured, Fatty High would have punched him out of the stage. Many people felt pity for Fatty High, who had been accumulating power for a long time. However, for Fatty High to be able to fight with Yin Pejun to such an extent, it had already exceeded everyone's expectations. Especially when he forced Yin Pejun into such a sorry state. It made the people who had mocked him feel even more ashamed. Fatty High lay motionless in the dust, as if he had already fainted. Even so, many people in the audience still stood up and applauded Fatty High. In an instant, the entire arena was filled with thunderous applause. There were only 30 seconds left. The blue-clothed referee looked at the time and felt that the match was about to end. Suddenly, Feng Qisha, who was below the stage, shouted, "Move back." Yin Pejun was startled when he heard this. As he jumped back, he stared at Fatty High's direction vigilantly. He saw a monster that was 5 meters tall jump out from the dust. It had a huge head, a pair of tree-like legs, and huge arms made of steel. Its sharp fangs protruded from its mouth, making it look sinister and terrifying. Its jet-black claws were like long daggers, and its blood-red eyes flashed with a terrifying killing intent. It leapt high into the air, and its sharp claws heavily struck the place where Yin Pejun was standing. The hard stone floor of the stage was crushed like tofu under its claws. What was this? Was it a summoned beast or a creature from the demon abyss? Yin Pejun's eyes twitched when he saw this. If Feng Qisha hadn't warned him, he would have been heavily injured by that claw just now. Behind, Yu Tian and Yu Yin realized that the monster had disappeared when it was charging towards them. There was a black shadow that tore through the air and quickly shot towards Yin Pejun's back. They both rushed to the side of the stage and shouted. How could Yin Pejun not know that the enemy was sneak attacking him from behind? He only hated that he wasn't fast enough. He didn't care about his image anymore as he pounced forward. The sharp claws tore through the air and swept across Yin Pejun's back, which was protected by flames. The flames were extinguished, and Yin Pejun's back was easily cut open by the wind created by the sharp claws. Blood splattered everywhere, and a few bloody wounds appeared in front of everyone's eyes. If they were slightly slower, Yin Pejun's waist would have been cut in half by those sharp claws. Prince of Zijin, who had been peeking at the fight from a small gap at his private room, suddenly opened the window and peeked out. His eyes were filled with disbelief. On the other hand, Yu Tian and Yu Yin, who were below the stage, felt a strong gust of wind blowing towards them. They raised their arms to block the attack. They realized that the wind created by the sharp claws had actually cut their arms, causing them to bleed. They felt their scalps go numb. What an abnormal monster. Could it be that this was Fatty Hai? Or was it his secret beast? What secret technique did Yu Yang use to turn Fatty Hai into a monster? Bai Yunfei, Feng Qisha, and Prince of Zijin all stared at Yu Yang's private room. In the private room, Yu Yang ignored everyone and crossed his arms again. At the same time, his voice sounded like thunder. Look over here, cross your arms in front of your chest. Meteor strike. That extremely ugly monster originally wanted to chase after Yin Pejun, but when it heard Yu Yang's voice, its entire body trembled. The red light in its eyes dimmed, as if it had regained some of its rationality. It also started to imitate Yu Yang's actions, but it was still roaring continuously, as if it still couldn't control its body completely. Yin Pejun didn't dare to imagine what would happen if he was hit by a monster with terrifying claws and strength using hippopotamus meteor strike. Feng Qisha, Yu Tian, and Yu Yin all clenched their fists anxiously. Bai Yunfei and Prince of Zijin's eyes shone with a strange light as they looked at Yu Yang and that monster from time to time, tried to observe the connection between them. After about 5 seconds, that ugly monster finally gathered its maximum strength. It crossed its arms and started to move forward. Its sharp claws gradually increased in speed, bringing along its entire body. With an explosive force, it turned into a meteor as it furiously shot towards Yin Pejun. Its pair of sharp claws shone brightly as it turned into a terrifying meteor. Yin Pejun's face became distorted as he saw the light of death approaching him. At this moment, his heart was as cold as ice. Without thinking, Yin Pejun immediately summoned his grimoire. His protective shield rose. The terrifying meteor struck the protective shield, causing waves of ripples to form. The shock wave spread out, causing the entire audience to be stunned. Roar, 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 roar. The ugly monster seemed to have an endless amount of strength as it crazily attacked Yin Pejun's protective shield. Although Yin Pejun was safe and sound, he was sweating profusely. His heart had already been intimidated by the monster in front of him. Stop! The battle has already ended. Stop immediately. The blue-clothed referee and the 2 assistant referees summoned their beasts with the strongest defense and joined hands to pull back the ugly monster. However, that ugly monster's killing intent was aroused. Its eyes shone brightly as it easily sent the 3 referees flying. It couldn't be controlled at all. Yi Kong and the Li brothers hurriedly went up the stage, but even after using all of their strength, they were still unable to stop the ugly monster's attack. With a sweep of the ugly monster's huge arms, Yi Kong and the others all fell to the ground. That ugly monster raised its sharp claws high up, preparing to attack Yi Kong and the others. Yu Bing hurriedly flew up the stage and opened her arms wide, blocking the ugly monster's front. Don't hurt people, quickly change back. You can't lose control and go crazy like this. However, the ugly monster seemed to have lost its mind as it slashed its claws towards Yu Bing's head. Chapter 236. Fatty, are you crazy? When Yi Kong and the Li brothers saw this, they were so scared that their hearts almost exploded. They hurriedly jumped up to stop it, but no matter how fast they were, they couldn't catch up to the ugly monster's claws. Stop! Below the stage, Yu and Anan were so scared that their faces turned pale as they screamed at the same time. However, Yu Bing didn't dodge. She looked at the ugly monster, her eyes filled with trust. This was her friend. She trusted him. She trusted that he wouldn't hurt her. Roar, roar, roar. The ugly monster's claws stopped when it reached the top of Yu Bing's head. It roared in pain, turned around, and raised its claws again, preparing to pounce on the audience below the stage. Yu Yang flew out from the private room and easily grabbed the ugly monster's neck. He pulled its huge body off the ground and threw it into the air. He then grabbed the ugly monster's lower limbs and smashed them heavily on the ground. As he beat it up, he scolded, "Idiot, dilly-dallying and wasting time. You can't even grasp a few seconds, and you still dare to lose control. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have let you come out to embarrass yourself. I've never seen an idiot like you. You can't even differentiate between your own people. What's the point of living? I'll just stomp you to death." Under Yu Yang's beating, the ugly monster gradually recovered. Its body shrunk, and its claws disappeared. It returned to Fatty High's appearance. Yi Kong and the Li brothers also rushed over angrily, kicking it violently. They didn't show any mercy. They kicked Fatty High until he screamed in pain. "Your contestant has broken the rules." The blue-clothed referee came over to warn them. Yu Yang waved his hand. "We admit defeat for this match. Yi Kong, drag this damn fatty back and bury him alive." He actually dared to make a move on Bing Air. He must be tired of living. The whole arena was silent. Everyone was shocked by the strength of Yu Yang, the masked thief. They all knew that there was an extremely strong player in the Ivy League team who had defeated the Tian Luo Prince. His name was Tai Tan, and people called him the Abnormal Blind. Everyone knew that he was very bloodthirsty and that his strength was abnormal, but they never thought that this Titan giant would be abnormal to such an extent. The ugly monster that had almost defeated Yin Pejun was not even able to withstand a single blow from him, and was beaten to the ground in a single move. This was what ordinary martial artists saw. What Bai Yun Fei, Prince of Zijin, Feng Qi Sha, and the others saw was far more than this. They could see the real techniques and secret moves. Only Bai Yun Fei and the others knew that Yu Yang's attack had actually awakened Fatty High from his hideous state. In other words, Yu Yang's ferocious beating was just a facade. Fatty High couldn't turn himself back into a normal person in a short period of time. He still needed Yu Yang's help to wake him up. Yu Yang flew down from the arena, not just to stop Fatty High from attacking the audience, but to help him recover from his monster state. Although Fatty High had lost today, due to the rules, but on the battlefield, without the time limit, would Yin Pejun still be able to defeat Fatty High in his monster state? Even if it was Yin Pejun himself, he wouldn't dare to easily deny this answer. The most important point was that Fatty High still had a lot of potential to be unearthed. In the eyes of Bai Yun Fei, Prince of Zijin, and Feng Qi Sha, they all felt that Fatty High was still hiding his true strength. Maybe it was because of the Yu clan's third young master's advice. Otherwise, he wouldn't have emphasized that Fatty High had to use Meteor Strike when he turned into a monster. Fatty High's monster body was a little strange, but Bai Yun Fei and the others understood that the Yu clan's third young master who knew how to control and develop his monster state was truly terrifying. In comparison, Fatty High was just a weapon controlled by the Yu clan's third young master. He didn't participate in the battle, but he was the one who truly controlled the battle. This was how terrifying the Yu clan's third young master was. If Fatty High hadn't lost control and attacked a few seconds earlier, the one who would have fallen would be Yin Pejun. If Yin Pejun lost, it would be more accurate to say that he had lost to the Yu clan's third young master, who could control Fatty High without going up to the battlefield. Without going up to the battlefield, the Yu clan's third young master had already defeated Yin Pejun. This was the hidden strength of the Yu clan's third young master. Bai Yun Fei, Prince of Zijin, Feng Qi Sha, and the others looked at Yu Yang with a strange look in their eyes. Yin Pejun's forehead was full of sweat. Even when he returned to Feng Qi Sha's side, his heartbeat still hadn't returned to normal. "Qi Sha, are you going up for the next battle? Be careful, Yu Bing. That little girl is different now." You should learn from my lesson and stop holding back your strength in front of Bai Yunfei. Our biggest enemy is actually that abnormal third young master. Actually, Yin Pejun still had one last trump card that he hadn't used. However, he had to admit that even if he used his last trump card, he would only be able to fight evenly with the ugly monster that Fatty Hai had turned into. Previously, because he was worried about Bai Yunfei and Prince of Zijin spying, he had insisted on not using it. In the end, he had almost killed the ugly monster that Fatty Hai had turned into. Fatty Hai's last attack, just now, was unstoppable. If he hadn't summoned his grimoire in time and raised his shield, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Pejun, our opponent, is still Bai Yunfei, the Yu clan's third young master. Looks like we won't be able to catch up. Feng Qisha knew that Yu Yang was an innate. He looked at Yu Yang and shook his head. He then looked at Yu Bing and saw that this little girl was full of fighting spirit. She seemed to be extremely confident. His heart couldn't help but shiver. Fatty Hai, this trash, could even fight against Yin Pejun under Yu Yang's guidance. What realm would his little sister, Yu Bing, reach? He knew that no matter how much this abnormal Yu clan's third young master rebelled, no matter how disrespectful he was toward his elders, there was no doubt that he loved his little sister dearly. During the new year, in order to let his foster mother and two sisters return to the Yu clan castle, this Yu clan's third young master fought his way to the Yu clan castle, bathed in blood. He pulled the horse carriage and brought his foster mother and sisters back to the Yu clan castle. Although the big clans didn't support this act of filial piety on the surface, they secretly used this as an example. They often told their descendants to follow Yu Yang's example and prioritize filial piety in everything they do. Feng Qisha believed that Yu Yang would definitely put in all his effort to nurture his little sister. Hence, he felt that Yu Bing's battle power would definitely not be below Fatty Hai's. However, Yu Bing, who was extremely talented in plant type, what realm would Yu Yang reach? Feng Qisha believed that he would know the answer very soon. The three special type beast repairers spent a few minutes to repair the broken stage. Although there were still some cracks, at least it wasn't as damaged as before. As the green-clothed referee walked onto the stage, Feng Qisha and Yu Bing bowed to each other. If it was before, no one would believe that Yu Bing would be able to defeat Feng Qisha. However, now that Fatty Hai had fought against one of the three great killing stars, Yin Pejun, although he had lost due to the rules, in the hearts of the spectators, he was the winner. Fatty Hai's counterattack had caused their blood to boil. Now that the Evergreen Vine team had another girl, everyone naturally hoped that she would have an exciting battle with Feng Qisha. When they saw Yu Bing choosing to fight 3 rounds like Fatty Hai, the spectators couldn't help but cheer for her. Clap, 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 clap. The applause sounded out enthusiastically. Some people with good eyesight noticed that even Xue Tan Lang, who had been sitting on his chair as cold as ice, was also clapping his hands. It was unknown whether he was supporting Feng Qisha, who was also one of the 3 great killing stars, or the brave challenger, Yu Bing. Bing air spin. Yu Yang stood below the stage and guided his sister as he made a beautiful gesture of spinning with both of his arms. Feng Qisha cried bitterly in his heart when he saw this. His combat skills and his strengthening type beast Sky Demon battle armor were very well integrated. In addition to the gold-ranked treasure Demon Devouring Sword in his hands, his combat power had increased greatly. However, how could he not know his own weakness? His 7 slashes combat skills mainly consisted of slash, stab, flick, hack, and cut. The only thing missing was spin. The 7 slashes combat skills originally had a spin technique, but because it had been lost for a long time, the 2 most important moves, spin and defend, were missing. In other words, if one were to say that the 7 slashes combat skills had a weakness, it would be that it did not have spin. The elders of the Feng clan, and even the Academy's combat masters, had pointed out that if Feng Qisha could comprehend spin, his combat power would have a huge breakthrough. Feng Qisha had also been studying it for the past few years, but he had not improved much. He had not completely comprehended spin. Now, when he heard Yu Yang say spin, he knew that his opponent had seen through his weakness. Begin. The green-clothed referee announced the start of the competition. Feng Qisha did not rush forward to suppress his opponent like he usually did. Instead, he cautiously retreated, summoned his grimoire, and raised his protective shield. When the barrier was raised, he heard a bang. When he turned his head to look, he discovered that Yu Bing had unknowingly appeared on top of him. She spun her leg and kicked his barrier. Feng Qisha's heart trembled. So fast. If he did not have his grimoire, this kick would have been a sneak attack on the back of his head. Yu Bing's kick missed. Originally, Feng Qisha had the chance to counterattack, but he gave up. The example of Yin Pei-jun underestimating his opponent was right in front of him. The three great killing stars could not become a laughingstock in the end. He summoned his Sky Demon battle armor, which had the armor transformation skill. Smoke armor and demon piercing bone armor appeared to protect his body. He then took out his demon devouring sword and activated his demonic energy. When Yu Bing summoned her 200 years old Tran defenders, he continued to summon two black balls. One was used on his demon devouring sword, while the other was used on his body. The demon devouring sword's demonic flames started to burn, and Feng Qisha's body started to emit a dense demonic energy, as if a demon had descended. When Feng Qisha recalled his grimoire, a terrifying aura exploded from his body. Even the referee who was closest to him was pushed back 2 steps by the aura, and only managed to stand up with great difficulty. Bai Yunfei and Princess Zijin looked at each other. Although they remained calm, they were still certain of the 3 great killing stars' abilities. No matter if it was Yin Pei-jun who was previously defeated, or Feng Qisha now, or even Xue Tanlang who was as cold as ice, they all had genuine abilities. They were not people who had an undeserved reputation. On the other side, Yu Bing summoned her 200 years old Trant defenders. 2 balls of green light condensed in her left and right hands, strengthening the Trent's body. Immediately, the green leaves of the 100 years old Trant defender sprouted, and a green light surrounded their bodies. Feng Qisha felt that if he were to chop down trees, he might not be able to chop down the 2 strengthened 100 years old Trant defenders, even if he worked himself to death. However, without a shield, it would be much easier to knock out Yu Bing. The only thing that made Feng Qisha a little uneasy was that Yu Bing should have learned a combat skill. Moreover, it was a type of combat skill that targeted his weakness, the whirling style. Even though he knew that he was a strong enemy, it was still a little difficult for Feng Qisha to swing his sword at an obedient little girl. With a strong gust of wind, he took advantage of the situation and rushed forward, punching heavily towards Yu Bing's lower abdomen. As long as his punch hit, his opponent would definitely faint. He decided not to use his demon-devouring sword for the time being, and use his fist first. Seeing this, Yu Bing did not retreat, but instead advanced. She courageously rushed towards Feng Qisha, and under everyone's frightened gazes, she met Feng Qisha's thunderous punch head-on. Forget about the spectators. Even Feng Qisha was shocked. He was afraid that he would heavily injure Yu Bing, so much so that he had slightly weakened the force of his punch. Who would have known that the moment Yu Bing's fist hit her, she would mysteriously rotate her body, dodging the thunderous punch in an incomparably beautiful manner. Then, she rotated her body and sent a knee strike towards Feng Qisha's face as he passed by. This time, Feng Qisha was really shocked. If he had not held back and used all his strength, he might have already been hit. Luckily, in the blink of an eye, he hurriedly raised his demon-devouring sword and blocked Yu Bing's rotating knee strike. He did not have the time to turn his head, and could only see from the corner of his eyes that Yu Bing's knee strike had stopped. Her white and tender hands simultaneously pressed on the back of the sword, and an ingenious force burst forth, causing the demon-devouring sword to feel as if it was about to fly out of his hands. Feng Qisha gripped his demon-devouring sword tightly, releasing a large amount of demonic energy, intending to shake off Yu Bing. Everyone in the audience could clearly see that Yu Bing seemed to be in slow motion. She slowly and beautifully rotated in the opposite direction, moving her body downwards and sweeping her left leg downwards. Her body was small and exquisite, and her legs were long and slender. Yet she managed to cause the tall and steady Feng Qisha to stagger. Yu Bing pressed both of her hands on the stage. Her body rotated like the wind, and her left leg kicked upwards. Feng Qisha tilted his head back, narrowly dodging Yu Bing's sudden kick. His movements looked very elegant, but he was actually sweating profusely from fright. That was close, his reflexes were fast, and he managed to dodge that ingenious kick. Otherwise, he would have definitely fallen to the ground. He raised his right leg, preparing to counterattack and kick Yu Bing away. However, he was surprised to find that his right leg had unknowingly been entangled by tree vines. Behind him, the 100-year-old Trant defender's huge arm heavily smashed towards him. As Feng Qisha cut the tree vines, he flew up into the air. After making sure that there were no enemies on the ground, he calmly somersaulted down and prepared for his second round of attack. "Watch your feet," Yin Pejun suddenly shouted. Only then did Feng Qisha realize that under his feet, there were densely packed tree thorns waiting for him. With a point of his demon-devouring sword, Feng Qisha once again leapt up into the air. This time, he did not care about the fact that Yu Bing was a little girl anymore. He completely treated her as a strong enemy. Demonic energy exploded out from his body as he held his sword in midair and slashed towards her. Yu Bing slightly retreated. In front of her, a 100-year-old Trant defender raised its huge arm to block the attack. At the same time that the demon-devouring sword deeply cut into the tree's shoulder, the green light on the Trant defender's body burst forth. It actually wrapped around the demon-devouring sword that was as sharp as mud and grew together with the tree. Feng Qisha was stunned. He tried to pull his sword out twice, but he was unable to do so. The other 100-year-old Trant defender's tree arm had already fiercely whipped his body. Because the distance between them was quite close, the whipping only hit the tip of the tree branch. Furthermore, the power of the whipping was not strong, so it was unable to cause any damage to Feng Qisha, who was wearing the demonic battle armor. It must be known that among the three great killing stars, Feng Qisha's body was definitely the one with the best defense. However, with this whipping, Feng Qisha was in big trouble. Countless tree vines coiled around his body, and the 4 tree arms of the 2 Trants crazily swept and whipped him. Feng Qisha was continuously hit hard. Although he had the Sky Demon battle armor to protect him, he was still hit so hard that he became dizzy and saw stars. Just as he used the demon-devouring sword to cut off the tree vines on his body, a slender leg passed through the gap between the tree arms. Like a white horse galloping through a gap, it landed on his forehead, right between his eyebrows. After being hit, Feng Qisha's vision darkened. His head felt like it was going to split open, and his neck bones were almost broken. Retreat. Retreat quickly. In the 2 seconds that Feng Qisha borrowed the momentum to retreat, he felt that Yu Bing had at least kicked his face more than 10 times. Furthermore, what was even more terrifying was that each of her kicks was getting heavier and heavier. According to the theory of battle skills, this was impossible to do. It was fine if she could chase after him more than 10 times. However, the speed of her kicks was getting faster and faster, and the distance between the 2 of them was getting further and further. How could her kicks be getting heavier and heavier? Although Feng Qisha was continuously hit, his mind was still clear. In the midst of his pain, he also thought of a problem. This technique that could make one hit heavier and heavier, could it be the whirlwind battle skill that he had been unable to understand? Chapter 237. As the saying goes, the expert knows the ropes, while the layman just enjoys the show. Normal people wouldn't be able to understand what kind of battle technique Yu Bing was using, but they could see it very clearly. They could see that Yu Bing was spinning nonstop. Every time she landed a kick, she would mysteriously spin backwards, adding the rebound force of her attack to the next kick. With this kind of miraculous spinning kick, she slowly stacked up the force of her attack. Every time she spun, the force of her attack would increase. The normal warriors were having a good time watching this, because Feng Qisha was also being beaten back. By Yunfei, Prince of Zijin, and a few others who could understand the battle technique frowned as they watched. In their eyes, Yu Bing's usage of this battle technique wasn't considered good. It was a little rough and simple. It was obvious that she hadn't truly mastered this kind of profound battle technique. She could only imitate its appearance, but not its essence. With regards to this, they weren't surprised, because according to their investigation, Yu Bing wasn't proficient in battle techniques in the past. She was proficient in plant-type skills. Now that she could use this battle technique to beat Feng Qisha back, it was already shocking enough. However, Bai Yunfei and the others thought of another problem. Yu Bing wasn't able to master the essence of this battle technique. But what about the Yu clan's third young master, who taught her battle technique and was also known as a genius in battle techniques? If he had completely mastered this battle technique that could continuously stack up the force of her attack, what kind of effect would there be when he used it? Imagine that the person attacking wasn't Yu Bing, but her brother, Yu Yang. Would Feng Qisha be able to withstand it? Bai Yunfei, Prince of Zijin, Yin Pejun, Dragon Ambassador Kanlan Yu, and the others all looked at Yu Yang, who was standing below the stage with complicated expressions. This was the Yu clan's third young master, who was called the abnormal blind by the people who didn't know the truth. Whoever looked down on his existence would probably suffer the consequences. Shuetan Lang, who was like a block of ice, didn't look at Yu Yang. Instead, he looked at Bai Yunfei and the others' expressions. He didn't speak. His lips seemed to be filled with ridicule. He knew Yu Yang's strength better than anyone else. Looking at Bai Yunfei and the others' expressions, he knew that they didn't understand Yu Yang at all. In the arena, Yu Bing kicked Feng Qisha 17 times in a row, sending him flying to the side of the stage and almost sending him flying. If it was someone else, that Feng Qisha might have already been kicked out of the arena. However, Yu Bing was very kind. This was a competition, not a fight to the death. Furthermore, the Feng clan and the Yu clan had always been on good terms. Hence, she stopped her 18th kick that contained the most power. She flipped over and landed in the middle of the arena. She even asked Feng Qisha, who was covering his face and gasping in pain, "Are you all right?" She was still worried that she had broken his face with her kick. Feng Qisha was both angry and amused. If it was anyone else who did this, he would have been angered long ago. However, it just so happened that this was a kind-hearted little girl. Although his defense was strong, it was still excruciating. Unable to vent his anger, Feng Qisha, who was extremely depressed, covered his face. After rubbing his hands together for a while, he tried his best to suppress his anger and replied, "I'm fine. However, if you only have this little bit of strength, you won't be able to defeat me." Golden Fierce Teeth. Feng Qisha decided to reveal his final trump card and stopped hiding his strength. Otherwise, he would definitely lose this battle. Amidst the golden light, Yu Yang summoned a gold-ranked level 4 strengthening-type beast and used it on his body. In an instant, spikes appeared all over his body, and his pitch-black armor was covered with a layer of gold. Along with the black magic armor, it reflected a dark golden color that was extremely textured. Is it a gold-ranked armored beast? Bai Yunfei frowned as he watched. This Feng Qisha was actually able to perfectly fuse 2 types of armored beasts into one. No, it said that it's a young gold-ranked beast brought back from the 6th floor of Tong Tian Tower by a ranker from the Feng clan. Its defense is extremely strong. It hasn't been long since Feng Qisha obtained this young gold-ranked beast, so he hasn't trained it yet. Currently, it shouldn't be able to use 100% of its power. Xie Qianrun told Bai Yunfei everything about Feng Qisha. However, he also concealed the strongest point of Feng Qisha's gold-ranked beast. Feng Qisha's gold-ranked beast had the special skill conversion. It could convert an enemy's attack into its master's attack. Although it couldn't achieve a 100% conversion rate, there was a limit to the conversion rate. However, this kind of conversion ability was simply a great killing weapon for evenly matched martial artists. Xie Qianrun had obtained this important secret information from Yin Pejun before. This was because when Yin Pejun fought with Feng Qisha, he was almost defeated by Feng Qisha's gold-ranked beast conversion skill. Xianren knew Feng Qi-Sha's secret, but he would definitely not tell this extremely valuable information to Bai Yunfei. On the stage, Feng Qi-Sha had not only summoned a gold-ranked beast, he had also summoned a bronze-ranked level 5 giant mammoth. The giant mammoth was summoned to deal with Yu Bing and the two treants. It might not be a match for the two treants, but because of its gigantic body and tyrannical strength, the two treants couldn't do anything to it in a short period of time. Only when the treants were distracted would Feng Qi-Sha be able to use his full strength to defeat Yu Bing. First slash, landslide. Feng Qi-Sha leapt high into the air. His demon-devouring sword emitted thousands of strange sword auras, but only one of them was real. It was hidden among the sword images as it slashed towards Yu Bing's head. Everyone was shocked. Those who were familiar with Feng Qi-Sha all knew how terrifying his landslide was. In an instant, everyone cried out in shock. However, what made everyone's eyeballs drop to the ground was that the person who was sent flying after the slash was actually Feng Qi-Sha. Yu Bing easily flipped herself out of the countless sword images, completely unharmed. On the other hand, Feng Qi-Sha, who had initiated the attack, covered his face and breathed in pain. Bai Yunfei and Prince of Zijin were both stunned. They had seen that Yu Bing had used a kind of daring reaction that they didn't even dare to use. When the demon-devouring sword was about to slash down on her head, she spun around and dodged it perfectly. At the same time, she kicked Feng Qi-Sha's chin lightly. Feng Qi-Sha, who was flying towards Yu Bing, looked as if he was giving his chin to Yu Bing for a flying kick. If it wasn't for the fact that Feng Qi-Sha's defense was really strong, if it was someone else, they would have already fainted on the ground. Direct close combat attacks are useless against this little girl. Bai Yunfei immediately made a judgment. His eyes flashed with a strange light. But it's not impossible to defeat her. As long as we can grasp that point, victory will be very simple. What? Xianren was stunned. If Feng Qi-Sha was Yin Pejun instead, Yin Pejun might have already won. Don't you understand? Bai Yunfei smiled. His smile was filled with arrogance and superiority. Xianren's eyes were filled with hatred. However, he quickly lowered his head and shook his head humbly. Xianren is slow-witted. I still don't understand. Please enlighten me, junior sect leader. On the stage, Feng Qi-Sha unleashed an even stronger force and used the second slash of the 7 slashes, earth-splitting. The result was the same as before. Yu Bing easily dodged his kick and counterattacked with a high speed. This time, Feng Qi-Sha was especially careful. He didn't get kicked by Yu Bing. He reached out his hand to block Yu Bing's flying kick in time. However, his original intention of grabbing onto her leg had failed. Impossible, 7th sister can't be this strong. Yu Tian and Yu Yin couldn't believe that Yu Bing could fight Feng Qi-Sha to a draw. Actually, this should be 3rd young master's doing. Yin Pejun paid more attention to Yu Yang. He realized that every time Yu Bing received Feng Qi-Sha's powerful attack, his expression would always be extremely focused. This was completely different from being nervous. He was as focused as if he was participating in a battle. Yin Pejun had a feeling that this abnormal 3rd young master might have some kind of secret technique that could control Yu Bing, who was on the stage, to help her fight back against Feng Qi-Sha. Otherwise, with Feng Qi-Sha's landslide and ground crack, even he wouldn't dare to take the risk. Of course, they thought that Yu Yang was only transmitting his voice to Yu Bing, giving Yu Bing pointers on how to fight. However, they didn't expect that when Yu Yang and Yu Bing were in the Gemini Temple, they had obtained the Gemini inherent skill, allowing them to perform telepathic dialogue and eye exchange. They had even obtained the heart mirror ability in the Virgo Temple. As long as Yu Bing relaxed her body and fused her mind with Yu Yang's, she wouldn't need Yu Yang to go on the stage to be controlled by him. The only thing lacking was that Yu Yang still couldn't use his mind to control Yu Bing's body to use body fusion. Otherwise, Feng Qi-Sha would be even more tragic. Yu Yang usually didn't control Yu Bing. He was only monitoring Feng Qi-Sha's powerful attacks. For example, for fatal attacks like landslide and earth-splitting, Yu Yang would help Yu Bing's body to counterattack. In normal battles, Yu Yang didn't control her at all. He didn't even give her any pointers. It could be considered as training for her. In the end, Feng Qisha's earth-splitting slash was a feint. It had a great momentum, but it didn't have any real power. Yu Yang was shocked. If Feng Qisha had grabbed Yu Bing's calf just now, the battle would have ended. He didn't think that Feng Qisha would also play tricks. This is bad. Feng Qisha should have found out Bing Heir's weakness. Princess Sisai, who was sitting in the private room, frowned and said to City Mistress Fallen Flowers, "Sister Fallen Flowers, why don't you persuade that big pervert to admit defeat and bring Sister Bing Heir back?" Sister Bing Heir is still not Feng Qisha's opponent. If they continue to fight, she will only suffer a heavy blow. This is not good for her growth. Bing Heir is just like her brother. Let's just watch quietly. With Yu Yang supporting her from below the stage, her life won't be in danger. City Mistress Fallen Flowers shook her head. The Yu Clan's people are so stubborn. Princess Sisai sighed. On the stage, Feng Qisha kept his demon-devouring sword and suddenly tried to persuade Yu Bing. "You have improved very quickly, but you're still not my opponent. Just give up." Yu Bing turned her head and looked at her brother. She then turned back and stubbornly shook her head at Feng Qisha. Yu Yang's lips moved slightly, but he didn't persuade Yu Bing to give up. His sister's battle was also to prove her hard work. Maybe she would lose miserably later on, but wasn't what she wanted to persevere on. Not only did Yu Yang not persuade her, he even hinted to Yu Yu and Yi Kong not to persuade Yu Bing. He wanted everyone to continue watching the battle quietly. Feng Qisha unsheathed his sword, and the demon-devouring sword flashed with thousands of sword lights. In an instant, it was as if there were stars in the night sky, shining brightly. This was not his famous 7 slashes. It was a mercenary's battle technique, Starlight Sky. It was a beautiful but unrealistic battle technique. Mercenaries usually used it to perform, but its actual power was extremely limited. Its only advantage was that it could perform multiple attacks at once, causing the sword lights to shine like stars. This kind of beautiful but unrealistic battle technique was disdained by real warriors because this kind of battle technique could not kill people at all. In a battle of life and death, using this kind of battle technique was equivalent to seeking death. Of course, the difference was that this kind of beautiful but unrealistic battle technique, in Feng Qisha's hands, was not weak at all. Although it was far from being comparable to the 7 slashes, it was at least 100 times more powerful than a normal mercenary's. The beautiful but unrealistic Starlight Sky flashed and then disappeared. Yu Bing fell to the ground with a thud. Everyone was surprised to see that this kind of beautiful but unrealistic battle technique had actually knocked her down. Blood slowly seeped out from the spot where Yu Bing had fallen. Understand now. Her attack power and reaction time are both top-notch, but her body is limited and her defense is insufficient. Xie Qianrun had a sudden realization. Not only that, it's very easy to defeat her. You don't need to use any heavy attacks. As long as you concentrate your attacks on her, even if the power is very weak, you will still be able to injure her. Under the restrictions of the arena, Feng Qisha has a sharp weapon in his hand, and she is defenseless, so she will definitely be hit. Just now, Feng Qisha had already seen through this point. He was able to injure her by using a very ordinary battle technique. On the contrary, his most practical 7 slashes was ineffective against her. Her brother must have only taught her how to deal with strong opponents, but not how to deal with the weak. That's why she has no ability to break through mercenary battle techniques. Bai Yunfei smiled slightly. This little girl is not afraid of one-on-one battle techniques, but it is difficult for her to deal with group attacks. This is her weakness. If the person on the arena wasn't Feng Qisha, but Yin Pejun who can control flames, she would be defeated even faster. Your contestant has already fainted. Do you want to give up? The referee was in a difficult position. If she was on the brink of death, Yu Bing was still far from being on the brink of death, so he couldn't directly announce that she had lost. However, she had indeed fainted and was bleeding from the sword. According to the rules, the contestant below the arena should give up on her behalf. Otherwise, Feng Qisha would kick her out of the arena. No, she will stand up. Yu Yang held down Fatty Hai, who was about to give up, and waved his hands with a determined look in his eyes. The referee was speechless when he heard this. Since they had already fought to this extent, did they still want to continue fighting? When he turned his head, he saw that Yu Bing, who was covered in blood, was stubbornly trying to get up. Her arms, shoulders, ribs, and thighs that had been stabbed by the sword were all bleeding. Fresh blood had dyed her black clothes. Some of it even flowed down her fingers and dripped onto the arena floor. Although her whole body was trembling from the pain, Yu Bing's eyes were still resolute. Yu Yang made a gesture, and Yu Bing ran towards her own treant. She jumped onto the treant's shoulder, and under the treant's protection, she regained her fighting spirit and prepared to attack. After seeing through Yu Bing's weakness, Feng Qisha didn't hold back anymore. The demonic qi in his body exploded. The black flames on his demon-devouring sword increased by 100 times. In the end, he sacrificed his attack power and switched to an area of effect attack. His sword flashed like 1,000 blades, and his demonic flames exploded. The entire arena was engulfed in a sea of black flames. The shockwave caused by Feng Qisha's sword was a few times weaker than usual. However, Yu Bing's body was still unable to withstand such an area of effect attack. When Feng Qisha swung his sword for the 10th time, she, who was not hit by the sword and had the protection of the treant, fell down for the 2nd time. She was struggling. However, because she had lost too much blood, her limbs were weak. She tried to get up a few times, but she couldn't do it. Feng Qisha's lips moved slightly, as if he wanted to persuade her to give up. However, when he saw Yu Bing struggling to get up, his face was filled with determination. He kept his sword and waited for her to get up. Bing this is enough. Let's give up, Yu Yang said with heartache. He knew that Yu Bing had a kind heart. She didn't use her intense poison and sealing throat on Feng Qisha. Otherwise, Feng Qisha would have already fallen. It could be said that she was still not proficient in fighting against Feng Qisha, who was an expert in fighting. To be able to fight to this extent was already very impressive. It had far exceeded his expectations. No, brother. I promise, brother, that I will definitely work hard. I can still fight. Yu Bing hated herself for not working hard enough. When she heard her brother telling her to give up, she had the urge to cry. However, she was stubborn. She clenched her teeth and did not let a single tear fall. She forced herself to stand up. Her black clothes were already soaked with blood. Her whole body was trembling in pain. However, she still stood up and made an attacking gesture. Feng Qisha wanted to swing his sword a few times, but he hesitated and gave up. In the end, he let go of his sword. Yu Bing, you won't be able to take my last attack. Just give up. No, I want to defeat you. I want to live up to your expectations. I definitely won't let brother down. Yu Bing's pale face was abnormally resolute. Her body started to sway, and her knees and body also started to weaken. In her eyes, there was a hint of absent-mindedness, as if she was about to faint. However, her hands were still moving according to her consciousness, preparing to attack. A few strange runes appeared on her shoulder where her clothes were torn apart. Gradually, dark golden ancient runes appeared on her arms. An extremely incomplete rune that looked like the world-exterminating wheel slowly condensed in her hands. When this world-exterminating wheel, runic circle appeared by Yin Fei, Prince of Zijin, and Yin Pejun were all dumbstruck. Although they didn't know what this world-exterminating wheel, runic circle, was, as strong warriors, their instincts told them that this terrifying thing had an unparalleled destructive power. Death upon touching it. Feng Qisha was so scared that he broke out in cold sweat. When he faced this rune wheel, he had a kind of fear that he would be easily destroyed by the opponent. If the opponent really threw this terrifying rune wheel out, not only would he be instantly killed, the audience behind him would also be turned into ashes. Yu Bing's eyes had already become vacant. She was on the verge of fainting. Only a trace of fighting consciousness was left. Her body slowly fell to the ground. The world-exterminating wheel that she had condensed in her hands was not thrown out in the end. That was because Yu Yang kept comforting her in her mind. When Yu Yang saw this incomplete world-exterminating wheel, he was also shocked. He quickly comforted her in her mind, letting Yu Bing relax. The world-exterminating wheel was not something that Yu Bing could control right now. It was a terrifying double-edged sword. It could destroy the enemy and also destroy the user. Yu Yang jumped onto the stage and hugged Yu Bing's limp body. He said to the judge, who was sweating profusely in fear, "We forfeit." "Brother, I'm sorry." Yu Bing mumbled and fell into Yu Yang's embrace. She fainted. Her pale face, due to excessive blood loss, was especially pitiful. Only when she fainted did tears uncontrollably fall from the corner of her eyes. Yu Yang hugged his sister and gently reached out his hand to wipe away her tears. He said gently, "Bing Er, don't cry. You did very well. Brother knows that you worked hard. That's enough." Winning or losing is not important at all. The destructive runic circle collapsed and turned into countless runes, silently entering Yu Bing's back. Bai Yunfei and the others were almost scared to death. The audience members did not understand what had happened and were still whispering to each other. "What's going on? What's that?" Chapter 238. This Yu Bing is not a competition type of fighter. She should be more proficient in real battles. Bai Yunfei frowned and sighed. If it wasn't a competition and it was another opponent with the same strength as Feng Qi Sha, the result would be completely different. The Yu clan's third young master taught his sister Yu Bing some killing techniques, but those are not suitable for a competition. Are you saying that Yu Bing is a bigger threat in a real battle? Xie Qianren's heart skipped a beat. Other than that powerful runic will just now, this Yu Bing should still have another ultimate skill that can kill people in a second. Firstly, she insisted that she could defeat Feng Qi Sha in the end. This means that she did not use her full strength and still has an ultimate skill. Secondly, she chose to use the runic wheel when she lost control. This means that other than the runic wheel, she at least has another ultimate skill that can kill people in a second. It's just that that ultimate skill is deeply engraved in her heart. Even if she was about to faint, she would not use it on Feng Qi Sha. This Yu Bing is a fighter who fights to the death. The rules of the competition have a huge impact on her. If it was an opponent with the same strength as Feng Qi Sha, she might not even need to use the runic wheel to heavily injure her opponent. However, her kind nature is the main reason why her combat power is weakened. If she does not overcome this, she will never be able to reach the pinnacle of martial arts. Bai Yunfei said the last sentence very softly. Although they were quite far away from the competition grounds, and unless they shouted loudly, they wouldn't be able to hear each other's voices. However, he seemed to be afraid that Yu Yang's people would hear the flaws that he had seen, so he purposely lowered his voice, making it sound like he was speaking like an ant. Xie Qianren could not help but praise this arrogant floating Miss Sect's junior sect leader. Although Bai Yunfei was arrogant, his eyes were really sharp. Xie Qianren did not want to refute what Bai Yunfei said. At the same time, Xue Qianren did not tell Bai Yunfei the real truth. If one were to look back to 1 year ago, then people would find out that Yu Bing's fighting power was not even 1/10 of Feng Qi Sha's. She might even be weaker than him. However, in just 1 year, she had improved to the point where she could compete with Feng Qi Sha, one of the 3 great killing stars. If she continued to improve at this speed, who could say that Yu Bing would not be able to reach the pinnacle of martial arts? Apart from her own outstanding talent, she also had an abnormal brother who had already reached the innate realm. Under the guidance of Yu Yang, who was at the Xiantian stage, how could Bai Yunfei possibly imagine her growth and future? "Yu Bing, don't die." Fatty Hai cried with tears and snot all over his face. "She's fine. It's just that her body is a little exhausted. You guys continue to fight. Winning or losing isn't important. Since you guys are here, don't leave any regrets." Yu Yang realized that the broken world exterminating wheel in Yu Bing's body had miraculously fused with her body. Other than consuming a large amount of her body's energy, it did not affect her too much. It was completely different from the rumors that said that it was extremely dangerous to control the world exterminating wheel. When he saw that Yu Bing was fine, he immediately felt relieved. After giving a few words of encouragement to Yi Kong and Fatty Hai, he hurriedly brought Yu Bing back to the private room. Along the way, he continuously channeled his innate qi into her body, nourishing and recovering her exhausted body. Yu and Inan did not have the heart to care about the competition anymore. They hurriedly caught up with them. Along the way, the spectators and students who passed by them all stood up and applauded for Yu Bing. Although Yu Bing had lost the battle, she had fought against Feng Qisha and forced him into such a sorry state. This had already won everyone's approval. In this world, how many people could challenge the three great killing stars? Furthermore, she was just a teenage girl. 3-on-3 battle. When Yi Kong saw the back view of Yu Yang carrying the unconscious Yu Bing back to the private room, an unsuppressible anger burned in his chest. He proposed a 3-on-3 battle to Yu Tian, Yu Yin, and Lai Ban. Just what I wanted. Yu Tian, Yu Yin, and Lai Ban looked at each other. After exchanging their opinions with Yin Pajun and Feng Qisha, they agreed to Yi Kong's challenge. Originally, they did not need to agree to Yi Kong's challenge. As long as they defeated Yi Kong once, they would be able to eliminate their opponents. However, the proud and arrogant Yu Tian didn't want Yin Pajun and Feng Qisha to monopolize the beauty. Of course, the most important point was that Yu Bing, who was a member of the Yu clan, had almost defeated Feng Qisha. As the eldest son of the Yu clan, Yu Tian definitely couldn't stand other people talking about Yu Yang and Yu Bing. Yu Yang was an abnormal cultivator. No matter how hard he tried, he would never be able to catch up to him. However, Yu Bing, Yu Tian, and Yu Yin definitely did not wish for a little girl to surpass them and firmly suppress them. During the new year, most of their beasts had been killed by Yu Yang. Their strength had been greatly reduced. They would not be able to fight against the three great killing stars by Yun Fei or Prince of Zijin, but they were still very confident against the unknown Yi Kong and the Li brothers. 6 people went up the stage at the same time. The 3 people on the left were the previously unknown Yi Kong, Li Jie, and Li Ge. On the right were the famous eldest son of the Yu clan, Yu Tian, the Yu clan's genius in controlling fire, Yu Yin, and the Lai clan's most outstanding disciple, Lai Ban. Yu Tian and the other 2 could be ranked in the top 10 of Shangjing Academy, including the 3 great killing stars. Their strength was widely known. Most people thought that Yu Tian and the other 2 were the geniuses who were just behind the 3 great killing stars. A white-clothed referee and 6 assistant referees were the judges. They did not enter the arena, but before they announced the start of the match, they warned the contestants on both sides that they were not allowed to retaliate, especially not to kill. Even a blind person could see that Yi Kong and the others were fighting with anger. Both sides were a little out of control. If they did not suppress their anger and fight, it would easily turn into a battle for revenge. The old cunning fox and the Shangjing Academy's teachers had also arrived. They looked calm on the surface, but they were secretly on guard, preparing to save their opponents at any time. Although the Ivy Academy and Shangjing Academy were competitors, they were not mortal enemies. Furthermore, the 2 academies were into Xia, so they were like brothers. No matter who injured the other, it would be a loss to the Xia. Yu Tian, Yu Yin, and Lai Ban did not dare to be careless. After all, they had Fatty Hai and Yu Bing as their examples. Yu Yang was an innate. If he were to lightly train his teammates, it would be enough to give them a headache. Yu Tian and Yu Yan's beasts had almost all died during the New Year's Clan Elite Tournament. Their strength had decreased, so they were even more vigilant. Yu Tian and the others summoned the Golden Tiger, Flaming Lion, Wind Leopard, and Battle Eagle one by one. The crowd applauded and cheered. In their hearts, the awe-inspiring Flaming Lion, Flaming Tiger, Wind Leopard, and Battle Eagle were the symbols of strength. Other than these, Yu Tian and Yu Yin had also summoned their puppet beasts. Yu Tian's was a silver-ranked level 4 Silver Tiger, while Yu Yan's were 2 silver-ranked level 3 Battle Axe Centaur. Isn't the Yu clan one of the 4 great clans? Why is there no one else other than the Yu clan's 3rd young master and that little girl? Bai Yunfei mocked disdainfully. What a pitiful worm. They don't even have a single gold-ranked beast. How could they be called the top 10 young warriors? They're really frogs at the bottom of a well. His words made Xietian roll his eyes. He thought to himself that if Yu Yang wasn't the junior elder of the Southern Floating Mist sect and had a bronze-ranked beast, he would be acting like an idiot, not to mention silver-ranked and gold-ranked beasts. Yu Yang had a gold dragon king beast, but he didn't rely on his own strength. What was there to be arrogant about? Of course, Xietian didn't refute him. He didn't want to tell this arrogant junior sect leader that not only in the four great clans, but also in normal clans, the clan wouldn't gift their strongest beast to the younger generation. Instead, they would let the younger generation capture and train them themselves. Although this way, the growth would be slower, but the foundation would be very solid. At the same time, it could also train the younger generation to endure hardships, allowing them to grow better. For people like Bai Yunfei, who had a gold-ranked level 5 Gold Dragon King beast as a gift when he contracted a grimoire, compared to the traditional training methods of the real big clans, it could only be considered as a nouveau riche. Although Xietian hated Yu Yang, he admired this abnormal third young master's growth process. The Yu clan's third young master didn't receive any help from the Yu clan, yet he could also become an innate. He was even more successful than Yu Tian and Yu Yin, who were heavily trained by the Yu clan. What did this mean? Success had a lot to do with a person's cultivation. It wasn't as simple as contracting a strong beast. Having a strong beast to contract was a good thing, but it didn't mean everything. Bai Yunfei had a Gold Dragon King beast because of his identity. Not everyone could have a lucky background, and not everyone could become the junior sect leader of the Floating Mist sect. Bai Yunfei having a Gold Dragon King beast was something to be envied, but he shouldn't laugh at others. At the very least, he might not be more hard-working than others. Xietian lowered his head as a sinister smile appeared in his eyes. You can be arrogant now, but not long later, you will be bullied by that abnormal Yu Yang until you cry in pain. Wah wah! The audience suddenly burst into an uproar. Bai Yunfei and Xietian looked towards the source of the commotion. They realized that the two silent twin brothers had summoned their gold-ranked beasts at the same time. Although it was only 2 gold-ranked ant soldiers, it was enough to make the audience gasp in shock. These 2 people actually had gold-ranked beasts? Even Yu Tian and Yu Yin, who were part of the top 10 experts, didn't have gold-ranked beasts. Yet these 2 unknown guys actually had gold-ranked beasts. Could it be that they were also some secret experts of some sect? Yikong also began to summon. Bronze-ranked level 5 King Kong Demon Ape did not bring too much a shock to everyone due to the appearance of a gold-ranked beast. However, when the Herculean Rhinoceros Beetle appeared, even Bai Yunfei and Prince of Zijin could not help but shake their heads. The Herculean Rhinoceros Beetle was a purely defensive beast. Once it reached a high level, even a giant dragon wouldn't be able to bite it. Fortunately, this Herculean Rhinoceros Beetle was not a high-level one. It was only an ordinary level 5 Herculean Rhinoceros Beetle. However, its body was already as big as a small mountain, and it took up nearly a third of the arena. Not to mention the Fire Lion, Golden Tiger, Wind Leopard, and Warhawk. Bai Yunfei felt that even his Golden Dragon King beast wouldn't be able to heavily injure this Herculean Rhinoceros Beetle. If this Herculean Rhinoceros Beetle could advance from a normal rank to a bronze rank or level 6, then Yu Tian and the others wouldn't even need to fight anymore. The King Kong Demon Ape and the Herculean Rhinoceros Beetle? Wasn't this the fiercest attack and the strongest defense? Furthermore, the 2 of them had gold-ranked ant soldier beasts and were extremely well-coordinated with each other. This battle, Yin Pejun and Feng Qi Sha, who were below the stage, wiped the sweat off Yu Tian's forehead. As expected, none of Yu Clan's 3rd young master's teammates were normal. They were all abnormal. Shuetan Lang did not make a single sound. His entire body was like a block of ice. His gaze was not fixed on the arena, but on Bai Yunfei, Prince of Zijin, Dragon Ambassador Kanlan Yu, and the others' faces. He had been taking the opportunity to observe the reactions of his future enemies. His cold eyes finally landed on one person, and that was Yu Yang. Perhaps in Shui Tamlang's heart, only Yu Yang was the strongest opponent in his life. Yu Yang was the target that he desired to fight against. Before fighting against him, Shui Tamlang looked at by Yun Fei and the others. Perhaps these people were the best stepping stones. Was it Yu Clan's third young master thinking the same? Chapter 239. Yi Kong, the Li brothers, Yu Tian, Yu Yin, and Lai Ban's 3-on-3 battle wasn't long, but it was extremely intense. No, to be more accurate, it should be described as tragic. Yu Tian and the others obtained the final victory, but it was an extremely difficult victory. In the end, Yu Tian and Yu Yin were heavily injured and vomited blood, falling to the ground, unable to get up. Only Lai Ban, who was covered in blood, was still standing in the middle of the stage. On Ivy Academy's side, the Li brothers were burnt black. Even with the help of the old cunning fox and the linesman, they were still unconscious. Yi Kong was conscious. He had thousands of wounds all over his body, blood flowing out continuously. He, who had forcefully knocked Yu Tian and Yu Yin out of the stage, originally still had the strength to fight against Lai Ban. Unfortunately, Yu Tian's Silver Tiger knocked him out of the stage at the last moment. The Ivy Academy's 3-on-3 battle wasn't because they couldn't win, it was because of the competition rules. Shangjing Academy won, but they had paid a huge price for this battle. The Fire Lion, Golden Tiger, and Wind Leopard had all died in battle. The War Eagle had been heavily injured, and the 2 Silver Rank Puppet Centaur had been crushed into pieces by the Herculean Rhinoceros Beetle. Yu Tian and Yu Yin, who were previously the 10 great heroes of the younger generation, were beaten by Yi Kong until they vomited blood, losing a lot of their prestige. Although their counterattacks weren't weak, Yi Kong withstood them with astonishing endurance. In the end, Yu Tian and Yu Yin were both knocked out of the stage. In this battle, Yi Kong and Fatty Hai had entered the preliminary list of the 10 great heroes in everyone's hearts. Perhaps their strength was still slightly lacking, but they were already strong challengers for the 10 great heroes. Even the Li brothers, who were unknown but full of sacrificial spirit, could be ranked in the top 30. If it wasn't for the brothers' selfless sacrifice and tacit cooperation, Yi Kong wouldn't have been able to defeat Yu Tian and Yu Yin. These 2 brothers were willing to be the supporting characters, blocking almost 80% of the damage for Yi Kong, almost winning this battle. Clap, 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 clap. All the spectators stood up and gave the defeated Ivy League team a round of applause. The Ivy Academy, who had always been trash in people's hearts, had this year's contestants filled with courage. First, there was Fatty Hai and Yu Bing. Then there was Yi Kong and the Li brothers. This team's tenacity left a deep impression in people's hearts. One had to know that they were challenging the champions of the previous tournament. With Feng Qi Sha, Yin Pejun, Yu Tian, Yu Yin, Lai Ban, and the others in the Shangjing Academy team. Even with the appearance of Bai Yun Fei and Prince of Zijin, they were still the hot favorites to win the team competition. Who would have thought that they would be forced into such a sorry state by the inconspicuous Ivy Academy team? It could be said that the Ivy Academy team had the ability to become the champions. However, their luck was not good enough. They had lost all 3 matches due to the rules of the competition. Other than having super strong abilities, the Shangjing Academy team's rich competition experience had also played a huge role. When Yi Kong knocked Yu Tian off the stage, if Yu Tian had not used his Silver Tiger at the last moment to shatter the corner of the stage and knock Yi Kong off the stage when he lost his balance, it would have been hard to say who would have won this 3-on-3 battle. Although Lai Ban could still stand on the stage with difficulty, everyone felt that if Yi Kong did not lose his footing at the last moment, Lai Ban would not have won. Lai Ban did not have Yi Kong's desperate fighting spirit. Yu Tian and Yu Yin also did not have the Li brothers' sacrificial spirit. Their average abilities were slightly higher than Yi Kong and the Li brothers, but they had been beaten miserably by Yi Kong and the Li brothers who were fighting as one. Yi Kong and the Li brothers had also created a classic 3-on-3 battle tactic, and that was the Trinity. Two companions who were rich in sacrificial spirit, with the strongest one as the arrowhead, would work together to kill one person from the opponent's side. At the same time, they would completely block all of the opponent's attacks, preserving the strongest companion's battle strength until the end. This kind of sacrifice for the sake of supporting characters was not something that everyone could do. However, as long as the Lee brothers did it, the team would be able to display 100% or even more of their battle strength. What an interesting battle! Bai Yunfei's lips curled into a smile as he said, "Originally, I was not too interested in the team competition, but now I have changed my mind. Let me defeat the Shangjing Academy team. I must win this championship. Then, I will wait for the Ivy Academy to challenge me next year." Shangjing Academy? Don't think that the Ivy Academy is the only strong enemy in this world. The eyes of the Grey Wolf Academy's representative, Prince of Zijin, flashed as he snorted lightly. The old cunning fox hurriedly brought Yi Kong and the others to be healed. Yu Yang looked at the old cunning fox in the eye. He realized that this old man who cared about his face was so happy that he almost couldn't find the north. He couldn't help but sweat profusely. It was no wonder. Usually, when the old cunning fox led the team, he would always return empty-handed. This year, the performances of Fatty Hai, Yi Kong, and the Lee brothers had helped him gain a lot of face. The old cunning fox finally had the chance to vent his anger and raise his eyebrows. Of course he would be proud. On the second day, the small team round-robin tournament started. Xue Tanlang and Yu Yang's match was forfeited. After Xue Tanlang forfeited, his second opponent was Prince of Zijin. As for Yu Yang's second opponent in the group stage, it was the floating Mist Sex Jr., Elder, by Yunfei. Although it was only the small team round-robin tournament, the death matching group B had become the most important part of the competition. In order to let more spectators see this intense competition, the Champion Islands organizers had brought out the biggest arena, the Champion Arena, which was only used for the finals. The Champion Arena was built by a ring-shaped rock mountain. At the bottom of the valley was the battle arena. More than 50,000 spectators could have seats. Even more spectators could sit on higher rocks. Although they didn't have seats and were far away from the battle arena, it was still a joyous thing to be able to watch the competition from afar. The most delightful thing was that the spectators who didn't have seats could watch the competition for free. This rule suited the mercenaries very well. Of course, watching the competition for free also meant that they came willingly. The organizers couldn't guarantee their safety. If the mercenaries fell and got injured by the contestants' beasts, the organizers wouldn't be responsible for them. They could only blame themselves for being unlucky. I hope that all the spectators will pay attention to their safety. In the deathmatch in Group B, Yu Yang was fighting against Bai Yunfei. All 7 judges were present. 4 of them were guarding the 4 corners of the arena. Not only were they observing the competition, they were also responsible for the spectators' safety in case of any accidents. Of the remaining 3 judges, 1 was the chief judge and the other 2 were the gold-ranked judges. It could be said that other than the finals, this was the first time that 7 judges were sent to be impartial in a round-robin tournament. Hundreds of silver-armored guards were scattered at the edge of the arena, protecting the spectators' safety. The kings, concubines, princes, and princesses of various countries had also arrived. Although the emperors of the Xia, Tianluo, and Zijin kingdom did not come, they had sent their representatives. When Yu Yang and Bai Yunfei went up to the arena, the entire championship arena was filled with spectators. The number of spectators must have exceeded 100,000. This was also a record. There had never been so many spectators watching the 100 Schools Elite Tournament. Including the previous finals, the number of spectators had never exceeded 70,000. This terrifying record of at least 100,000 spectators was an unprecedented existence. I choose to fight without rules. Yu Yang made his request. Bai Yunfei, who was standing opposite him, completely agreed. A fight without rules meant that there was no time limit, no timeout, no rest, no summoning of any kind of beasts, and no using of battle skills. In short, other than not killing the opponent, the contestants could use any method to attack the opponent before the opponent admitted defeat. You have 3 minutes to prepare. You can choose to leave the arena and prepare, or stay in the arena. After 3 minutes, I will announce the start of the battle. You can only start the battle. The chief judge went up to the arena and gestured for the two contestants to greet each other and then prepare themselves. Bai Yun Fei greets you. Floating Mist Sect's junior sect leader Bai Yun Fei cupped his fists in greeting politely, but his expression was arrogant. You're welcome. We'll rely on our own abilities later. Yu Yang cupped his fists casually and jumped down from the arena to greet the old fox and the others. In order to support Yu Yang, the old fox, the eagle-eyed Xia Houei Lai, and the students from the death class had all come. Even the withering Thousand Bones General Feng Kuang, the Xia Imperial Tutor, and the Whitestone City Master who had always followed Jun Wu came to support him. Fight well. You must beat that arrogant fellow until his teeth fall all over the ground. Princess Sisai rarely encouraged Yu Yang. On the other hand, the usually generous Castellan Fallen Flowers sat far away, as if she did not know Yu Yang. The reason was that her father, the Eastern Sky King, had come and kept calling Yu Yang's son-in-law. This made her extremely embarrassed, so she decided to stay far away. Inan was more or less the same. Her aunt had come. Inan obediently pulled Yu Bing along to accompany her aunt to watch the battle. The Prince of Tianluo had brought the fanatical female fans of the Pink Rose Group to support him. Only then did Yu Yang know that there was a Prince of Tianluo in this world. Moreover, he was the cousin of Fallen Flowers. The most shocking thing was that this outrageously handsome Prince of Tianluo was actually the son of the Western Sky King. Yu Yang could not understand. The Western Sky King looked even more like a barbarian than the Eastern Sky King. How did he give birth to such a beautiful son? Just like how the Eastern Sky King gave birth to Castellan Fallen Flowers was a mystery, this made Yu Yang very puzzled. The Emperor of Tianluo, Huasu Ri, only had a daughter and no son. This Prince of Tianluo would probably be the future successor to the throne. When the Prince of Tianluo saw Yu Yang, he smiled, causing the female fans of the Pink Rose Group to scream. He was different from the Prince of Tianluo that sickly beauty had disguised herself as. The real Prince of Tianluo loved to smile, and there was no sadness in his eyes. He seemed to be a rather cheerful little prince. What made Yu Yang the happiest was that at a corner of the mountain where no one would notice, Wu Xia, who loved to read, and sickly beauty were sitting side by side. Although their faces were covered with a light veil, and they were wearing a loose robe and a big coat, sitting far away on a rock in the corner, completely not attracting the attention of others, Yu Yang still recognized them at first glance. His beloved girl, of course he would not recognize the wrong person. Noticing that Yu Yang was looking at her, sickly beauty waved her hand slightly to signal him to come over. The mysterious beauty Wu Xia, on the other hand, did not move at all, quietly reading her book as if she did not notice Yu Yang at all. The only regret in Yu Yang's heart was that because of the enemies spying, Fourth Mother and the little girl could not come. Otherwise, it would have been even more perfect. Contestants, there is only 1 minute left. Please come to the stage and prepare for the match. The chief referee was mainly calling out to Yu Yang because Bai Yunfei had always been on the stage. He summoned the gold-ranked level 7 Gold Dragon King Beast, causing the spectators who supported him to cheer. In the hearts of the ordinary spectators, Tai Tan, who had the title of Abnormal Blind, could not fight against Bai Yunfei. Just that gold-ranked level 7 Gold Dragon King Beast was enough to torture him to death. They came here mainly to watch Bai Yunfei torture his opponents. This was because Bai Yunfei would toy with his opponents to his heart's content in every single round of the promotion round. Especially after torturing his opponents would even thank him for his guidance. That kind of style was what the spectators loved to see the most. This abnormal blind man, would he end up like the previous contestants, kneeling in front of Bai Yunfei and crying bitterly in the end? Yu Yang walked onto the stage, took out the golden mask that he had obtained from the Gemini Temple, and lightly put on. An evil demonic aura exploded from his body. When the spectators saw his half-crying, half-smiling mask and felt the demonic aura from his body, they could not help but shiver. This abnormal blind man was indeed not an ordinary person. It would not be easy to see him kneeling down and crying bitterly. There is only 50 seconds left. Student Titan, you can summon your beast first. I will start the countdown in 10 seconds. You guys can make your final preparations now. The head referee reminded Yu Yang. He did not want to see the ending of by Yunfei's Gold Dragon King beast beating Yu Yang off the stage in one move. He hoped that the battle between these two youngsters would be as exciting as possible. What beast should I summon? Yu Yang seemed to be a little troubled. Ha ha! Many spectators started to laugh. Indeed, no matter what beast he summoned, it would not be a match for the gold-ranked level 7 Gold Dragon King beast. What was even funnier was that this Titan only had a thorny flower and a puppet mouse previously. Although he was an expert in battle skills, in terms of summoning beasts, this abnormal blind man was a huge tragedy. Idiot, this is not a place for you to come. One of Bai Yunfei's juniors could not help but stand up and shout loudly, mocking Yu Yang for reporting the wrong event. If Yu Yang had reported for the individual battle skills competition, he might have been able to get a good ranking. However, the individual battle skills competition was a combination of beasts and battle skills. It would be a joke if he, who is only an expert in battle skills, wanted to fight against Bai Yunfei, who is equally strong in both beasts and battle skills. In the individual battle skills competition, it was impossible to not summon beasts. Yu Yang had really summoned 5 puppet mice. The spectators almost died of laughter. Many of them laughed until they were out of breath. With just 5 puppet mice, he wanted to defeat the Gold Dragon King beast? This was probably the biggest joke in the history of the 100 Schools Elite Tournament. Student Titan, are you sure you don't want to summon your thorny flower? The thorny flower is a strong beast. Bai Yunfei tried his best to maintain a humble tone. This way, the hidden mockery in his voice was even stronger. When the spectators heard this, they laughed until tears flowed down their cheeks. Using puppet mice and thorny flower to fight against the Gold Dragon King beast? All right, this was not a joke. This was the Group B round-robin tournament. There's no need for that. I don't need to summon my thorny flower to fight against a fire-breathing lizard. Without batting an eyelid, Yu Yang summoned the gold-ranked level 3 Reaper Mantis that had just grown up. Although it was still far from becoming a mature Reaper Mantis, it could still fight. The spectators were startled. This abnormal blind man also had a gold-ranked beast? Reaper Mantis? That's right. Bai Yunfei was also slightly startled, but he quickly recovered. Although the gold-ranked level 3 Reaper Mantis was the bane of the dragon race, its level was too low. His Gold Dragon King beast was already gold-ranked level 7. Any one of its claws was not something that the Reaper Mantis could defend against. Bai Yunfei's eyes flashed slightly as he summoned another beast, a gold-ranked level 5 Killer Bee. The Killer Bee's poisonous stinger was the fatal weapon of all insect-type beasts. Although the gold-ranked Killer Bee was not the Reaper Mantis' natural enemy, it was not afraid of the Reaper Mantis because of its high-flying speed and poisonous stinger. Bai Yunfei's intention was to completely attack Yu Yang. He meant that he did not even need to use the Gold Dragon King beast to completely suppress Yu Yang's beasts. It was as if he wanted to compete with him, the floating mist sex junior elder, in terms of beasts. That was a beggar competing with a rich man. Killer Bee? So arrogant? This is really scary. Yu Yang waved his hands toward the audience. Looks like I have to ask for help. 2 mysterious people wearing cloaks jumped onto the stage from below the stage. The head referee hurriedly stopped them. Wait a minute, this is not a 3-on-3 battle. You guys cannot join the battle. The battle is temporarily suspended. You guys go down immediately. Otherwise, Student Titan will be defeated because he violated the rules. All of you go down immediately. The spectators roared with laughter. They did not even understand the rules of the competition, yet they dared to compete. Suddenly, one of the mysterious people opened her cloak, revealing a demonically beautiful woman's face. Her cherry lips parted slightly as she opened her mouth to speak. There was an indescribable wonder in her voice. Her pronunciation was not very accurate, but it was extremely pleasing to the ears, Didn't you say that Master's beasts can participate in the competition? The head referee was confused. Of course beasts can participate in the competition, but you guys are all humans. He suddenly came to his senses and cried out in surprise. You guys are all beasts? That demonically beautiful woman tore her cloak apart and spread her platinum wings. She soared into the sky and landed gracefully. She held the gold-ranked dragon slaying dagger in her left hand and the silver-ranked I destroyer dagger in her right hand. She knelt down in front of Yu Yang and spoke with a beautiful and respectful voice. I am the bloody queen that Master has contracted with. My human name is Red. When she said this, the entire audience became silent. A humanoid beast that could speak? What kind of beast was this? Chapter 240. White, Platinum-Ranked Humanoid Beast? The floating mist sect's junior sect leader by Yunfei felt as if he was hit in the back of his head. Platinum-ranked beasts and gold-ranked beasts were two completely different things. Normal warriors might not know, but as the floating mist sect's junior sect leader, how could he not know that only when a beast stepped into platinum-ranked would it truly be reborn and have the chance to evolve into a holy beast? Although normal, bronze, silver, and gold-ranked beasts could also evolve into holy beasts, it would take thousands or even tens of thousands of years. Furthermore, not all beasts could evolve into holy beasts. Even if there was a chance that they could evolve into holy beasts by chance, that lucky beast would need a long period of time to cultivate and evolve. Only then would it be able to evolve extremely slowly. That kind of long time was not something that a human warrior's life could wait for. In comparison, platinum-ranked beasts' evolution time was 100 times shorter than normal beasts. It was also 10 times shorter than bronze-ranked, silver-ranked, and gold-ranked beasts. Platinum-ranked beasts usually only needed a few decades, at most 100 years to evolve into a humanoid. Then, they would continue to learn different kinds of knowledge, increase their intelligence, and evolve into a holy beast. Gold-ranked beasts would need hundreds of years, at least 200 to 300 years. Hence, by the time a gold-ranked beast evolved into a holy beast, its master would already be old and exhausted. There would be no possibility for them to improve anymore. This is a humanoid platinum-ranked intelligent beast. The chief referee was also shocked. In the previous 100-school elite tournament, students who owned gold-ranked beasts were not the only ones. In the past, there were even abnormal students who owned them. However, as a veteran referee, he had never seen any students who owned a platinum-ranked beast. Not to mention the two basic requirements of a holy beast, humanoid and intelligence. Even if the bloody queen in front of him was not a holy beast, she would not be far from becoming one. At first, the chief referee thought that by Yunfei, who had a gold-ranked level 7 Gold Dragon King beast, was already an extremely powerful existence. He did not expect that he was nothing compared to Titan, who had a platinum-ranked Bloody Queen. Gold Dragon King beast? That was a holy beast, a platinum-ranked holy beast. The chief referee was shocked. He looked at the other mysterious beast, whose face was still hidden in a cloak. This beast was also humanoid. Could it be that Titan had two holy beasts? The 100,000 spectators in the championship arena were silent for a long time before someone finally reacted. They cried out in surprise. As more and more people joined in, the cries of surprise were like waves, engulfing the entire champions arena. Everyone stood up with their eyes wide open, staring fixedly at the bloody queen. Countless people wanted to find a flaw to prove that she wasn't a beast, but human. However, even the most suspicious people were disappointed, because they could see that on that devilishly beautiful face, on the platinum-ranked Bloody Queen Red's forehead, there was a small beast contract symbol. That symbol was unique to beasts. It was impossible for a human to have that symbol appear on their forehead. It was impossible for a human to contract a human. Kill. Bai Yunfei's heart was filled with despair and jealousy. That feeling was like a beggar who had been starving for 3 days to the point where his stomach was rumbling and his eyes were dark from hunger, seeing a rich family eating and drinking lavishly. What emerged in his heart was not envy, but pure hatred. A destructive jealousy occupied his heart. He couldn't bear this kind of despair of falling from the clouds to hell. Bai Yunfei felt that the whole audience would laugh at him in the next second, because his actions just now were like a complacent clown looking at the sky from the bottom of a well to the opponent. If he wanted to get rid of this hateful feeling, he could only destroy it. He had to kill his opponent forever. Only then could he truly become the #1 hero in the soaring dragon continent. Following the order, the Golden Dragon King spread its wings and soared into the sky. It used its strongest dive and dragon breath to destroy its opponent, as well as the Bloody Queen, who was like a dagger that made his heart bleed. Why didn't such a beautiful and intelligent beast belong to him? Since she didn't belong to him, then she should just die. The golden killer bee flew towards the Bloody Queen red like lightning, its poisonous stinger about to sting in a thousandth of a second. As long as it stung her once, this beautiful beast would become a stiff corpse. Die. Only eternal death is the most beautiful. Looking at Red's beautiful face, Bai Yunfei clenched his fists in hatred. If this beauty belonged to him, he would cherish it for the rest of his life. But she didn't belong to him, so she could only die. This feeling reminded Bai Yunfei of when he was young, when his father brought him to the Eastern Ocean Crystal Palace. At that time, he saw a perfect crystal vase. We thought that the Eastern Ocean Crystal Palace wouldn't give him such a precious treasure. All he had to do was to quietly push the vase and make it shatter on the ground. This was what he had to do. Bai Yunfei clenched his teeth, his eyes slightly bloodshot. Hatred flashed in the depths of his bloodshot eyes. Ayaya! An extremely sharp scream that shook everyone's soul burst out from the Bloody Queen Red's mouth. It was like a ripple spreading out as if it was real. Everyone felt their vision darken. Those who were far away felt their eardrums ringing. Those who were close to the stage felt as if the back of their heads had been ruthlessly hammered. This kind of terrifying scream was impossible to defend against. It directly caused their souls to tremble. In a thousandth of a second after the Gold Killer Bee extended its venomous stinger, Red disappeared. She appeared on top of the Gold Dragon King Bee's head. The Gold Dragon King Beast Dragon Race and King's aura were completely ineffective against her. Red was also a king, and she was even platinum ranked. If the Gold Dragon King Beast wasn't gold ranked level 7, Red could totally suppress it. Draconic aura was a terrifying existence to normal beasts, but to a highly intelligent Bloody Queen Red, it was just a giant lizard that could spit fire. It wasn't a terrifying enemy, but a target to be hunted. The gold-ranked dragon, slaying dagger in Red's hands, was the butcher's knife prepared for it. Under Red's super high speed, the Banshee's scream exploded from the front of the Gold Killer Bee to the top of the Gold Dragon King Bee's head in less than a thousandth of a second. When the Gold Dragon King Beast turned its head and wanted to spit out Red, but it was stunned by the Banshee's scream, the dragon's slaying dagger slashed across the Gold Dragon King Beast's eyelid. The Gold Dragon King Beast that was invulnerable to swords and spears couldn't withstand the sharpness of the dragon's slaying dagger, and a long bloody wound appeared on its eyelid. The Gold Dragon King Beast reacted instinctively and spun its body frantically, dodging the enemy's fatal attack. At the same time, it used its huge dragon wings to attack the enemy's slender body. The dragon's wings were extremely powerful, and those who were hit by it couldn't be saved. Even if it couldn't hit its target, it could still create a hurricane and blow the enemy away. The platinum-ranked wings on Red's back closed and flew upwards. The Gold Dragon's lightning-fast wing attack was like a crawling snail in comparison, incomparably slow. The Bloody Queen Red soared into the sky and dodged the wing attack. She then turned her body in the air and chased after the Gold Dragon that was flying towards its master. Crossing the daggers in her hands, the dragon scales that were as hard as a shield shattered, leaving two deep and shallow cross-shaped wounds on the dragon's neck. The dragon's blood splattered in the air. On the stage, the Gold Killer Bee's slender waist suddenly split apart. Its upper body separated from its abdomen. Its entire abdomen flew forward along with the stinging movement, while its upper body flapped its wings and danced in the air. The The gold dragon king beast in the sky flew back to its master's side with a strong gust of wind. The bloody queen red also landed behind Yu Yang, as light as a feather. Her almost devilishly beautiful face had a look of respect that would make people jealous. She, who was so powerful and intelligent, should have been receiving her master's worship and love. Who would have thought that she would even kneel down on one knee in front of Yu Yang to show her respect? This really made people want to vomit blood. The gold killer bee's thorny abdomen couldn't sting any of its targets, so it fell in front of the second tall, mysterious person. The second mysterious humanoid beast that was still hiding in the cloak suddenly stretched out a leg that looked like a human's leg, but the part below the knee that looked like a cow's hoof, and stomped the golden killer bee's abdomen into a bloody pulp. Boom! The power of that stomp actually shook the whole stage. An invisible shockwave spread out. Even the spectators who were 100 meters away felt dizzy and nauseous. The gold killer bee that had lost its abdomen shrieked and completely lost control. It madly pounced towards the tall, mysterious humanoid beast. Before it could even open its mouth to bite, suddenly, the whole audience could clearly see that the mysterious humanoid beast inside the cloak spat out a purplish gold flame from its nose and mouth. The eyes that were hidden in the cloak suddenly shone 1,000 times brighter than before. Even those who were standing behind the mysterious humanoid beast felt uncomfortable from being stared at, as if their hearts had been ruthlessly pierced by that gaze. The warriors who could see the shining light couldn't help but shiver. The shadow of death appeared in that instant. Fortunately, the target of this stare was only the gold killer bee that had lost control. It was completely silent. Everyone could see it clearly. In a split second, the golden killer bee lost its life. Its wings, which had been flapping rapidly, stopped. With only half of its body remaining, the golden killer bee fell to the floor of the arena. Bai Yunfei didn't even have time to recall it before it lost its life. Oh my God, this is Doom's eyes. The barbarian bull's Doom's eyes. The warriors who were familiar with the bee's skills couldn't help but groan in their hearts. Doom's eyes, once activated, was an unsolvable existence. One stare and it would die. Of course, normally, only weak beasts could activate Doom's eyes. 4 gold-ranked beasts. Even if they activated Doom's eyes, they might not necessarily die. They might only suffer a heavy soul injury, but not annihilation. Right now, what level was this humanoid barbarian bull actually at? It could actually kill a gold-ranked level 5 killer bee in an instant? This is impossible. Bai Yunfei, who was originally radiant, was now deathly pale. He couldn't believe the reality in front of him. The gold dragon king beast had returned empty-handed, and the killer bee had even been killed in an instant. How could this be possible? Bai Yunfei roared no. Before Yu Yang and the Bloody Queen could take any further action, he had already summoned his gold grimoire and summoned his strongest beasts. He intended to use the human wave tactic to fight against the enemies. Silver-ranked level 7 Golden Python, silver-ranked level 7 Thunder Eagle, silver-ranked level 6 Purple-eyed Lightning Leopard, bronze-ranked level 8 Petrifying Lizard. In the end, Bai Yunfei had even summoned a gold-ranked level 6 Strengthening-type Guardian Beast, the black-tailed White Jiao Dragon. He fused it with his body and turned it into a Jiao Dragon armor, increasing his battle power. You want to compete in numbers? Yu Yang's voice was emotionless. No one could tell if he was mocking or ignoring him. However, after Yu Yang waved his hand, a snake-haired Medusa with blazing flames suddenly appeared from the cloak of the mysterious humanoid beast. Holding a golden bow in her hand, she beautifully swam to the back of Yu Yang and bowed down respectfully like the Bloody Queen Red, paying her respects to her master. The audience was in an uproar. Could it be that there was more than one mysterious humanoid beast in the cloak? Very quickly, the audience all fell to the ground. This was because they saw another beautiful golden-haired mermaid who was so perfect that it made people sigh with admiration, holding a strange-looking conch horn in her hand as she swam out from the cloak. How many beasts were actually hidden in this cloak? When the third Thunder Naga came out from the cloak, The audience almost vomited blood. How was this a competition? This was clearly bullying. Chapter 241. Kill. Yu Yang pointed his finger and imitated by Yunfei's gesture of giving the order to attack just now. The bloody queen red was the fastest. When Yu Yang said the word kill, she had already appeared on top of the Thunder Eagle's head. The soul-shaking banshee scream exploded once again. Amidst the dizziness, the audience saw the snake-haired Medusa draw her golden bow and shoot 2 arrows. The arrows were like shooting stars that nailed the eyes of the petrified lizard. The petrified lizard, which was good at petrifying its enemies, actually started to turn into stone from its eyes. The violet lightning leopard was extremely fast. It rushed over in an instant and pounced towards the golden-haired mermaid. The golden-haired mermaid smiled indifferently. She gently raised her jade-white hands and released 2 tornadoes, sweeping the violet lightning leopard and the golden python up into the sky at the same time. 2 streaks of lightning flashed in the sky. One accurately struck the golden python's body, while the other exploded on the lightning leopard's head. On Yu Yang's body, the audience saw a figure that looked exactly like him. It rushed out from his body and rushed towards Bai Yunfei with a storm of purple flames. Bai Yunfei was frightened by the terrifying scene in front of him and did not dare to take it head-on. He dodged to the side and used the Golden Dragon King beast to defend. The golden-haired mermaid blew her horn, and the storm that engulfed the entire arena exploded. The dark clouds in the sky rolled like the sea, and heavy rain poured down. Lightning flashed and thunder roared. The entire arena turned into a swamp in less than 30 seconds. The water was overflowing and the waves were high. Several tornadoes were like giant dragons sucking in water. Within the tornadoes, the forked lightning seemed like it was going to tear the soul apart. It was tyrannical and unrestrained, causing the entire arena to lose its color. Everyone was terrified and looked at the scene in front of them with their mouths agape. They were all scared to the point that they didn't know what to do. About a minute later, the dark clouds dispersed and the lightning disappeared. The tornadoes slowly stopped. The charred lightning leopard and golden python that were in the sky fell onto the flooded arena with a loud bang, causing waves to splash. The Thunder Eagle spread its wings and floated on the arena, moving up and down with the waves. It was unknown whether it was dead or alive. As for the petrified lizard that was vaguely visible in the water, it had long since turned into a lizard-shaped stone statue. Other than his strongest beast, the Golden Dragon King beast and the black-tailed white Jiao dragon, Bai Yunfei's other beasts were all slaughtered on the spot. He stood blankly on the arena, his face ghastly pale like a corpse. In front of him, Yu Yang was still standing in the waist-deep water, motionless. The evil shadow that looked like him was still fighting the Golden Dragon King beast. When everyone looked again, they discovered that the Medusa, mermaid, and Naga had all disappeared, as if they had never appeared before. Even the tall and mysterious beast had disappeared without a trace. Many warriors with sharp reactions immediately realized that this could be the Yu clan third young master's only weakness, which was that his beast duration was extremely short. Other people's beasts could fight for at least an hour, but this Yu clan third young master's beast could only fight for a minute. Of course, just fighting for a minute was enough to shock the world. The corpses of his enemies on the arena silently announced this Yu clan third young master's abnormal strength. Within a minute, Bai Yunfei's golden flower python had become roasted snake meat. The lightning leopard had a layer of its skin peeled off by the wind blades. The petrified lizard had been turned into stone, and the thunder eagle had been instantly killed by the bloody queen's dragon-slaying dagger. When the bloody queen red landed lightly behind Yu Yang, there was only knee-deep water left on the arena. The evil shadow and the golden dragon king beast separated, its energy depleted, and disappeared silently. The Golden Dragon King beast landed beside Bai Yunfei, its huge body swaying a little, trying to stand up with difficulty. In the end, it fell to the ground with a loud crash, struggling for a long time before it could spread its wings and stand up. Its body was lacerated, and many scales had fallen off. Its entire body and wings were riddled with wounds. It was a tragic sight to behold. Drop by drop, dragon blood dripped onto the surface of the water, dyeing a small and strange red ribbon on the rapidly receding water. Although it had persevered until the end and won the battle against the evil shadow had severely injured it before it disappeared. The evil shadow was only a shadow. It was not injured or dead. The Golden Dragon King beast had already been defeated. Because it was a beast, every injury it received was equivalent to being one step closer to death. Just now, the platinum-ranked Bloody Queen Red did not attack. If Red and the evil shadow had joined hands, the Golden Dragon King beast would have been completely defeated. Although the audience did not understand why Red did not attack, they could see the result. The already heavily injured Golden Dragon King beast against Red, against the platinum-ranked Bloody Queen with the dragon-slaying dagger. How much battle power would it have left? Perhaps it would be a dead end. Seeing everything in front of him, Bai Yunfei suddenly knelt down on the water, his hands powerlessly supporting himself on the rapidly receding water. His whole body trembled. The large number of beasts dying was already a heavy blow. His underestimation of the enemy and his clown-like arrogance made him feel even more ashamed. If this Yu clan's third young master was replaced by someone else, he, who still had the Golden Dragon King beast and black-tailed white Jiao dragon, would definitely fight until the end. But now, he knelt down powerlessly, unable to fight anymore. The last bit of fighting spirit in his heart had long disappeared in fear of the scene in front of him. For the first time in his life, the shadow of death appeared in Bai Yunfei's heart. He was afraid of death, so afraid that he did not dare to face the terrifying Yu clan's third young master again. That abnormal person was not someone he could defeat. Bai Yunfei only wanted to escape as soon as possible and end the battle as soon as possible. I lost, I admit defeat. If someone had told Bai Yunfei 3 minutes ago that he would kneel down and admit defeat in 3 minutes, he would definitely think that that person was a lunatic. If it was anyone else in this world, they would not have thought that someone as arrogant as Bai Yunfei would actually kneel down and beg for mercy. But this was the truth. Yu Yang's face was hidden behind the Gemini mask, so his expression could not be seen. But his voice was very arrogant, so arrogant that it deserved a beating. Floating Miss Sex junior sect leader, self-proclaimed #1 hero in the world, so arrogant. You who thinks that your intelligence is as high as 250, what did you say? Louder, this trash's ears have some problems. I can't hear what you said. Junior sect leader with a gold-ranked, level 7 Golden Dragon King beast. What do you want to say? Louder. When the crowd heard this, they all felt ashamed for Bai Yunfei. Many people thought that Bai Yunfei would get angry and fight to the death with Yu Yang crazily. Who would have thought that their eyes would pop out of their sockets when Bai Yunfei immersed his forehead and face into the water with incomparable pain? After forcing himself to stay awake, he said in a loud voice, I admit defeat. I admit defeat. You've won this battle. This reply made all the drenched spectators want to bang their heads against the wall and die. What floating Miss Sex junior sect leader? He was simply a coward. A warrior can be killed, but not humiliated. He still had a gold-ranked level 7 Golden Dragon King beast and a gold-ranked level 6 black-tailed white Jiao dragon. How could he admit defeat without even fighting? Although the abnormal blind Tai Tan was very abnormal, all of his summoned beasts had disappeared, leaving only the Bloody Queen. Bai Yunfei still had a chance. Even if he would lose in the end, it would be an honorable defeat. Now, he was kneeling down and begging for mercy before the battle was even halfway through. Loudly admitting defeat, kneeling down and begging for mercy, what did this mean? Bai Yunfei had been bullied by this abnormal Tai Tan. Everyone had originally sympathized with him, but now that they saw him kneeling down and begging for mercy, they looked down on him. It didn't matter if he lost, just like how Fatty Hai, Yi Kong, and Yu Bing had all lost. However, no one felt that they were weak at all. It was normal that their skills were not as good as others. They were still young, so they could continue to work hard and learn from their mistakes in the future. However, kneeling down and begging for mercy in the middle of a battle because the situation was disadvantageous to them was something that everyone despised the most. Was this floating mist sect's junior sect leader by Yunfei still a man? If he didn't even dare to fight with a gold-ranked level 7 golden dragon king beast and black-tailed white Xiao dragon, then he might as well bang his head against a wall and die. Seeing by Yunfei's actions, the entire crowd went into an uproar. Countless young men and women who used to worship by Yunfei were incomparably furious. They imitated Yi Kong and Fatty Hai's gesture and stuck out their middle fingers, giving by Yunfei the greatest disdain they had ever shown in their lives. It turned out that this arrogant and condescending by Yunfei was just a coward who bullied the weak and feared the strong. When everyone thought about how they had worshipped this junior sect leader previously, they felt like vomiting. If they didn't fight, they wouldn't know, but once they fought, they would become trash. Junior sect leader, stand up. We would rather die than submit and fight with this pervert. Shui Qianren jumped into the water of the arena and shouted. He did this on purpose. The more he did this, the more humiliated by Yunfei would be, and the harder it would be for him to step down. Stand up, let's fight with him. Almost all of the Floating Mist sect's disciples hoped that Bai Yunfei would stand up and fight with Yu Yang until the end. Otherwise, how would the Floating Mist sect's face be left if he admitted defeat like this? Only one mysterious disciple did not say a word. His gaze seemed to be supporting Bai Yunfei to admit defeat immediately. This might be the right thing to do. Rankers who had reached the level of Feng Qisha and Yin Pejun were able to see much more and think much deeper than normal warriors. Feng Qisha and Yin Pejun knew that if there was even a 1% chance of winning this battle, Bai Yunfei would not kneel down and beg for mercy from Yu Yang. He was definitely at his wit's end. He definitely couldn't fight anymore. Otherwise, why would a proud person like Bai Yunfei kneel down to his enemy if he was not really in despair? Moreover, kneeling down and begging for mercy in front of 100,000 people, what kind of courage did that require? If it was Feng Qisha and Yin Pejun, they would rather die than kneel down. They were especially unwilling to kneel down and beg for mercy from an opponent like Yu Yang. This was because the heart of a perverted madman like the Yu clan's third young master was not made of tofu. He would definitely humiliate his opponent. Kneeling down to him was equivalent to looking for trouble. Feng Qisha and Yin Pejun noticed that on Bai Yunfei's right ankle, there was a thin and long golden ribbon that extended all the way to Yu Yang's right ankle. They did not see when Yu Yang tied this golden ribbon to Bai Yunfei's right leg, but they could immediately understand that it was definitely because of this golden ribbon that Bai Yunfei would kneel down and beg for mercy. It was definitely because of this. Although they did not know what use this golden ribbon had, it was definitely because of its appearance that the arrogant Floating Mist sect's junior sect leader Bai Yunfei had no choice but to kneel down in front of everyone. Dragon Ambassador Qin Yu and Prince of Zijin frowned. Of course, they had also noticed the existence of this golden ribbon. What was the use of this tiny golden ribbon? It actually made Bai Yunfei willingly be humiliated by the Yu clan's third young master? Could it be that this ribbon was a divine equipment? Chapter 242. Only Princess Sisai, City Mistress Fallen Flowers, and the other girls knew that this golden ribbon was a treasure that Yu Yang had obtained after clearing the Pisces temple the previous night, the Pisces ribbon. Once it was tied, both parties would not be able to leave freely. No matter how they tried to escape, they would not be able to escape from the Pisces ribbon. Unless the enemy's strength far surpassed the owner of the Pisces ribbon and defeated the owner, that would be the only way to escape. What was even more terrifying was that Yu Yang could use his inherent skill through the Pisces ribbon. Just now, little Wan Li, who was hiding in the barbarian cow's shadow on Man's cloak, took advantage of the storm to return to Yu Yang's body. Bai Yunfei tried to summon her several times, but was destroyed by Yu Yang's binding. in a situation where he could not escape and could not summon his grimoire to protect himself. Even if Bai Yunfei was an idiot, he knew that Yu Yang was going to abuse him in front of everyone. Bai Yunfei thought, rather than letting Yu Yang torture and humiliate him in front of 100,000 people, he would rather admit defeat like a hoodlum. Bai Yunfei knew that what Yu Yang wanted the most was for him to start a fight out of anger. At that time, the Gold Dragon King Beast would be killed on the spot, and the black-tailed white Jiao Dragon would disappear. As for himself, he would be tortured to death. Maybe in the end, he would still have to kneel and beg for mercy. At that time, he would suffer even more humiliation. Although he was arrogant, Bai Yunfei was definitely not an idiot. Of course, he would choose to admit defeat. As long as the Gold Dragon King Beast was still alive, he still had hope. Although he could not compare to the abnormal Yu Clan third young master, he still had a huge advantage over Feng Qisha, Yin Pejun, and Prince of Zijin. If the Gold Dragon King Beast was killed by the Yu Clan third young master, he would fall out of the top 10 from his current position of second place. Neil? That was not his choice. It was the result of being pulled by the Yu Clan third young master after his body was bound. However, did he still have a chance to resist now? If he didn't kneel down, the Yu Clan's third young master would definitely cripple him in front of everyone with the killing intent in his eyes. Student Tai Tan, student Bai Yunfei, has already admitted defeat. What do you think? The head referee, who was dripping wet from head to toe, rushed to the side of the arena to act as a mediator. He hinted to Yu Yang that he should let go of Bai Yunfei after he had humiliated Bai Yunfei enough. He told Yu Yang not to go too far and not to kill anyone. Otherwise, the Floating Mist sect would hold a grudge and blame it on the Yu Clan. What? Was Young's sect master kneeling down and begging for mercy? I haven't even fought yet. Why did he admit defeat? Even if this young sect master wants me to win, he can't do this. Wouldn't others suspect me of cheating? Chief referee, I'm telling you, I'm not very familiar with Young's sect master. If he insisted on kneeling down and begging for mercy, he insisted on admitting defeat. That's his own will. It's none of my business. Yu Yang feigned an innocent look on his face. His arrogance was enough to make the head referee want to beat him up. He had originally thought that Bai Yunfei was arrogant enough, but who would have thought that this kid would be 100 times more arrogant than Bai Yunfei? Make him kowtow, otherwise we won't accept his surrender. Kill him. Kill his Gold Dragon King Beast and make him cry to death. Fatty Hai jumped out as if he wished for the whole world to be in chaos. That's right, make him kowtow and admit defeat. Yi Kong was so excited that his blood was boiling. Kowtow! More than half of the audience also started to jeer. In any case, the one they supported was the hero. As for the loser, they couldn't help but want to go up and kick him a few times. What bullshit Floating Mist sect's young sect master. He was usually so arrogant because of his sect and family background. If he wasn't the Floating Mist sect's young sect master, he wouldn't even be a fart. Those mercenaries who came to watch the show all stood up and cheered. What they wanted to see was a good show. They wanted to cheer for whoever was the winner. Furthermore, they hated Bai Yunfei and Prince of Zijin, who were outstanding disciples from famous families, the most. They were extremely jealous of them. Now that they saw them being humiliated, it was simply too satisfying. Of course, they started to jeer even more. Other than giving Yu Yang thunderous applause and cheers, they also jeered and gestured with their middle fingers, shouting kowtow, kowtow, kowtow. Yu Yang suddenly signaled for everyone to quiet down. He opened his mouth and offended everyone who jeered and supported him. You are all idiots. He is the dignified Floating Mist sect's young sect master. It's already very rare for him to kneel down and beg for mercy, but you still want him to kowtow? Are you all retarded? Is kowtowing and begging for mercy something that a young sect master would do? You all must be dreaming. His first sentence made the mercenaries choke. However, when they heard that this brat was saying something sarcastic, they immediately applauded and whistled at Yu Yang. This was probably the first time in the history of the 100 Schools Elite Tournament that the audience still applauded when someone scolded them as idiots. When Bai Yunfei heard this, he almost banged his head on the stage to death. He was so angry that he almost vomited blood, but he held it in with all his might. If he turned hostile and started a fight with Yu Yang now, he would fall into his trap. Moreover, he was afraid that it would not be as simple as verbal humiliation. That abnormal Yu clan's third young master might even trample him under his feet. At that time, he would be humiliated even more, and he would probably never be able to raise his head again for the rest of his life. Young sect master, I accept your kneeling and begging for mercy. Ah, no, I accept your surrender. Get up, you are a dignified young sect master. Aren't you trying to shorten my lifespan by kneeling in front of me? I can't take it. Quickly get up. Yu Yang still pretended to be a good person. He put away the golden ribbon and supported by Yunfei up with his hand, putting on a "I didn't actually ask you to kneel" look of a modest gentleman. Bai Yunfei could not bear the humiliation and vomited a mouthful of blood. As expected of the young sect master, even when you vomited blood, you still did it in an unrestrained manner. I admire you. Yu Yang cupped his hands in salute. His refined and courteous manner was very annoying. The floating mist sect's disciples quickly went up the stage and helped by Yunfei, who had vomited blood and fainted down the stage. If their gazes could kill people like barbarian bulls, they would have killed Yu Yang in an instant. Yu Yang stood on the stage coldly and didn't go down. He waited for the floating mist sect's disciples to bring the embarrassed by Yunfei away. Suddenly, he turned to look at the Prince of Zijin and said amiably, "Prince of Zijin, I heard that you are very close with the young sect master. I wonder if you have the same hobby of kneeling and begging for mercy as the young sect master? If you do, then quickly let everyone enjoy it. Although my next opponent is you, the Prince of Zijin, I can't wait to see your majestic appearance when you kneel on the ground." The whole audience looked at the Prince of Zijin. They wanted to see how he would choose. Should he fight? Or should he kneel down and admit defeat like by Yunfei? If the Prince of Zijin didn't care about his face, he could reject. There were many reasons. For example, it wasn't a real match yet. He could also forfeit and admit defeat. However, if he did that, he wouldn't be much stronger than Bai Yunfei. At least Bai Yunfei would still have to fight in the arena. Although he lost because of his inferior skills, he still managed to preserve his Gold Dragon King beast by kneeling down and begging for mercy. If the Prince of Zijin didn't dare to accept the challenge, he might immediately be called coward. After being provoked by Titan, the Prince of Zijin didn't even dare to let out a fart. Would he still be able to raise his head high in the future? The contestants and their classmates who were defeated by the Prince of Zijin earlier all let out ear-piercing shouts. Coward, 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 kowtowing worm, and other ear-piercing names resounded through the sky. Everyone readied their middle fingers. They were prepared to give the Prince of Zijin, who was as arrogant as Bai Yunfei, the moment he opened his mouth to give up. Would the Western Lion Pagoda's prized disciple be the same as the Floating Mist sect's junior elder, who is outwardly strong but inwardly weak? Would he be even weaker than Bai Yunfei? Before this, the Prince of Tianluo had fought with Titan. Their fight was so intense that the arena was destroyed. The Prince of Tianluo was defeated by a single move. Although he was defeated, it was still a glorious defeat. Now, it was the Prince of Zijin's turn to choose. He could choose to fight against Titan like the Prince of Tianluo, or he could learn from Bai Yunfei and kneel down and admit defeat. I heard that Brother Titan's combat skills are unparalleled. Chu Fenglei is willing to fight against Brother Titan on the same stage. The Prince of Zijin pondered for a long time before finally proposing to compete with Yu Yang in terms of combat skills. If they were to compete with summoned beasts, he was afraid that Yu Yang would summon those Medusas, mermaids, and Nagas whose real levels he couldn't see through. Furthermore, there was also that mysterious and terrifying beast that could kill a gold killer bee with just a stare. His beasts wouldn't be able to fight against them. The only hope was to compete in combat skills. Although the Yu clan's third young master was famous for his combat skills, the Prince of Zijin still had the confidence to fight against him. Even if he lost, he wouldn't be as pitiful as Bai Yunfei. How could Yu Yang not know what this guy was planning? However, it was fine as long as the Prince of Zijin agreed to fight. When the Prince of Zijin stepped onto the stage, wouldn't he be beaten to death? Fatty Hai and Yi Kong were ecstatic as they hugged each other. They knew that Yu Yang's most terrifying skill was his combat skills. In comparison, although those beasts were powerful, they were still far from his combat skills. The Prince of Zijin was definitely looking for death. This guy's tragic fate had already been decided from this moment onwards. The Prince of Zijin's ending would definitely be even more tragic than by Yunfei's. The rankers in the audience seats, like Feng Xiaoyun, Shui Wendao, and Yin Qianzhong, were all whispering to each other. In their hearts, the Prince of Zijin had already taken one step into his coffin. They were very clear about Yu Yang's abnormal combat skills. If the Prince of Zijin were to compete with an innate ranker in terms of combat skills, it would be like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. Just now, Yu Yang had summoned a few strong beasts, the platinum-ranked Bloody Queen, Medusa, Mermaid, Naga, and the Mysterious Beast. They weren't surprised, because Yu Yang was an innate. It would be weird if he didn't have platinum-ranked beasts. They weren't surprised that Bai Yunfei had knelt down. However, they were surprised that the Prince of Zijin still insisted on challenging Bai Yunfei even after he had knelt down and begged for mercy. The few of them frowned slightly. They thought that this Prince of Zijin was too impulsive and treasured his face too much. He wasn't someone who could achieve great things. In Feng Xiaoyun, Shui Wendao, and the others' hearts, Bai Yunfei, the junior sect leader who had knelt down to preserve his strength, was much stronger than the Prince of Zijin. It wasn't something that every youngster could do. Although Bai Yunfei wasn't an abnormal opponent like the Yu clan's third young master, he was still an outstanding junior. In comparison, this Prince of Zijin was overestimating himself. Could it be that he thought that he could defeat the Yu clan's third young master, whose combat skills were even better than his father Yu Qiu's? The old cunning fox, Feng Kuang, Xiao Weijia, and the other Xiao rankers nodded their heads excitedly. Yu Yang was an innate, so they weren't worried that he would lose. However, when they saw that Yu Yang had such a platinum-ranked beast, they felt that Yu Yang's original way of developing his combat skills had finally changed. Right now, his combat skills and beasts were on par. They believed that not long after, his strength would rise to a whole new level. Rankers like the Eastern Sky King and the rest of the Tianluo rankers also reacted very strongly. Especially the Eastern Sky King, who was like Zhang Fei. He rushed towards the Western Sky King, old General Ma, and the others, waving his fists and shouting happily. Did you see that? My son-in-law. That's my son-in-law. I had said that it wasn't wrong to give birth to a daughter. Now, it has proven that I was right. Right? My darling, my little fallen flowers. Only this kind of man could barely match up to her. Ha! It's good to give birth to a daughter. It's good to give birth to a daughter. A daughter is like a caring little cotton-padded jacket. His voice was extremely loud. When City Mistress Fallen Flowers heard it, she was so embarrassed that she wanted to find a hole to hide in. It was because of this kind of father that she had to hide in the 4th floor of Tong Tian Tower to plant flowers. Shameless. The audience suddenly jeered. However, they weren't jeering at the Eastern Sky King. They were jeering at the Prince of Zijin. It turned out that before the Prince of Zijin went up the stage, he had summoned 2 gold-ranked level 6 strengthening-type beasts to strengthen his body. He had also summoned a silver-ranked level 7 Thunder Beast armor and transformed it into a Thunder Battle armor. In the end, he had also taken out a gold-ranked artifact, Moon Devouring Scimitar. He had agreed to compete in combat skills with Yu Yang, but he had summoned his beasts to strengthen himself first. Although they couldn't say anything about him according to the rules, this way of doing things had caused the audience to be extremely dissatisfied. Countless middle fingers were pointed out densely. Even if the Prince of Zijin had won, not many people would have a good impression of him. After all, people still worshipped those who were indomitable and indomitable. They didn't like those schemers who were good at playing dirty tricks. Student Titan, do you need to prepare? You have 3 minutes to prepare. The head referee couldn't stand it anymore. If everyone had agreed to compete in combat skills and also agreed to summon their beasts to strengthen themselves on the stage, it would have been fine. However, the Prince of Zijin didn't do that. He had summoned his beast to strengthen himself before going up the stage to compete with Titan, who didn't have any beast to strengthen himself. This was a little unfair. There's no need for that. A trash like me is used to being bullied by others. I hope that the Prince of Zijin won't bully me too much. Otherwise, I might cry. Yu Yong waved his hand and chased the Bloody Queen Red and the Reaper Mantis off the stage. You guys go down first. If Dragon Ambassador can Lan Yu and Shui Tan Lang still want to give me some pointers, you guys can come up and help me. Wah good. The audience erupted. Although this Tan wasn't blind, he was indeed abnormal. He actually wanted to defeat all the strong opponents in one day. It was a pity that the Dragon Spear Lady, Yin Pejun, and Feng Qisha weren't in Group B. Otherwise, he would probably continue to fight until he became the champion in the Group B elimination round. Dragon Ambassador Can Lan Yu's expression changed slightly. However, when he looked at Shui Tan Lang, he realized that this Ice Cube guy's expression didn't change at all. There was no fear in his eyes at all. His heart calmed down a lot. Facing such a strong opponent, it would be a pity if he didn't fight at least once. So what if he lost? The Prince of Zijin didn't show any change in his expression, but he was extremely unhappy in his heart. The fight hadn't even started, and you already think that you will win? Who will win and who will lose? It's hard to say until the last moment. The Prince of Zijin suppressed his anger and jumped onto the stage. Chapter 243. Prince of Zijin's explosive aura swept across the entire arena like a gale. Although he did not know the extremely difficult strengthening technique, double strengthening, the strengthening of two gold-ranked strengthening-type beasts, the Gold Wolf King, was not as simple as 1 + 1 = 2 compared to the strengthening of two normal beasts. Two Gold Wolf Kings with the same level and attributes would not affect each other. Instead, they would strengthen each other. Prince of Zijin's strength was not doubled, but quadrupled, or even more. It could be said that in terms of strengthening, his techniques were even stronger than Yi Kong and Fatty Hai, who had improved greatly under Yu Yang's guidance. What caught Yi Kong and Fatty Hai's attention the most was that this Prince of Zijin could transform a different Thunder Beast armor into a battle armor at the same time, without affecting the original strengthening at all. Prince of Zijin had indeed put in a lot of effort into researching strengthening-type beasts. Of course, the warriors of Zijin already had a strong foundation. They were most proficient in strengthening-type beasts. There was a saying in the Soaring Dragon continent, strengthening is in Zijin, elemental is in Tianluo. This was referring to the special beasts of the two countries. Strengthening beasts were what the warriors of Zijin were most proficient in, while elemental beasts were what the warriors of Tianluo were most proficient in. As for Xia, because many generations of emperors were like Jun Wuyu, the warriors of the country had gradually lost their specialties. Fortunately, there were still the 4 great clans to support them. Otherwise, the Xia would have fallen out of the ranks of the 3 great kingdoms. Just from the combat strength of the commoners, the Great Xia Kingdom was the weakest. At the same time, it was also the country with the most bandits. It's really not bad. Feng Qisha praised when he saw the strengthening effect of Prince of Zijin's beast. It's a pity that training purely in strengthening-type beasts is far from enough. Yin Pejun admitted that he couldn't compare to Prince of Zijin at the moment. Both Yin Pejun and Prince of Zijin were proud disciples of the Western Lion Pagoda, but Yin Pejun was an outer disciple of the Thunder Sect. He was completely different from Prince of Zijin, who was an inner disciple of the Blood Prison that the Sect Master had personally accepted. However, Yin Pejun finally saw Prince of Zijin's weakness. It was a one-way development. It was not advisable to only develop one type of beast. It might be good in the early stages, but in the later stages, it would be easy to reach a bottleneck. Furthermore, Prince of Zijin did not focus on developing his guardian beast. This was his biggest mistake. Maybe Prince of Zijin's guardian beast was not a battle-type beast, or maybe it was not the best, but he did not focus on developing his guardian beast. This was equivalent to giving up his greatest advantage. Shui Tan Lang only took a glance and turned his head away. If the Prince of Zijin focused on raising his guardian beasts like Princess Qian Qian or Luo Hua City Mistress, then it would be worth paying more attention to. Right now, if Prince of Zijin's beasts were killed, his strength would plummet to the ground. If Prince of Zijin beasts were to be killed, then his would shine. Maybe Prince of Zijin's guardian beast is a special kind of beast. I keep feeling that something's not right. The old cunning fox slowly frowned. You said Yang Yang would lose? How is that possible? Eastern Sky King would never believe that Yu Yang would lose to Prince of Zijin. I'm not saying that Yu Yang would lose, but Prince of Zijin is not like Bai Yun Fei who can endure until the end. He will definitely take revenge. Even today, the Western Lion Pagoda is extremely protective. Since Yu Yang beat up Prince of Zijin, it's hard to guarantee that the experts from the Zijin Kingdom and the Western Lion Pagoda won't come looking for trouble. The old cunning fox thought a lot. Elder Nangong had already acknowledged Yu Yang and even personally invited him to join the innate alliance. Even if the Western Lion Pagoda sent an innate rancor here, would they dare to touch little Yu Yang? Feng Kuang asked. General Feng Kuang, you don't know. Jizun, Night Empress, Elder Nangong, and many other innate rancors are rushing to the 10th floor. They might not be able to return for a few months. It can be said that a lot of people are getting restless right now. If it wasn't like that, would there be so many strange things happening recently? These few days, my revelation, inherent skill, has also given me a feeling that something troublesome will happen soon. State Grandmaster's words made everyone stunned. Then, they suddenly realized something. So it turned out that Jizun, Night Empress, Elder Nangong, and other innate rancors had left the 6th floor of Tong Tian Tower and went to the 10th floor. No wonder the soaring dragon continent was so turbulent. State Grandmaster made a shushing gesture, indicating that this secret must not be leaked out. On the stage, Prince of Zijin let out a howl. 2 gold wolf kings' silhouettes that were a few meters tall appeared above his head, floating in midair. Hui Tai Lang, who had been lying on the side of the stage and sleeping out of boredom, suddenly opened his eyes wide. He was extremely dissatisfied with the Gold Wolf King's majestic display in front of him. Because Yu Yang wanted Hui Tai Lang to stay behind to confuse his enemies, he didn't bring him out for the entire 100 School Elite Tournament. At first, he planned to let him participate in the team tournament as a member. However, when the fake Yu Qiu returned, Yu Yang decided to let him leave the tournament and hide his strength. Yu Yang would rather see Fatty Hai and Yi Kong lose the team tournament than to reveal his true strength. Hui Tai Lang's strength would decide many things. The first reason was Yu Qiu's identity. If Yu Qiu was an imposter and was a conspiracy created by the demonic palace, then the people of the demonic palace would know about Hui Tai Lang's strength. This was because Hui Tai Lang had once killed the elder Lai Lai in a one-on-one battle. Afterwards, he even killed the giant Xing Ming. Ding Zong from the demonic palace should know about his strength. At the very least, Phoenix Fairy Beauty should know about his strength. If the fake Yu Qiu was not the doing of the demonic palace, but the Thousand Goblins sect, then they wouldn't know Hui Tai Lang's true strength. With regards to Hui Tai Lang, the fake Yu Qiu would definitely let his guard down when he appeared to be bronze-ranked level 3. Especially when Yu Yang summoned the Bloody Queen Red and other strong beasts on the stage. They would think that Yu Yang didn't contract Hui Tai Lang because his strength was too low. From this point, if the fake Yu Qiu didn't pay attention to Hui Tai Lang, then it was very likely that he was the doing of the Thousand Goblins sect and not the demonic palace. Even if Yu Yang didn't return to the Yu Clan castle, he could ask Princess Sisai and Yu Yu to bring Hui Tai Lang to meet the fake Yu Qiu. With Princess Sisai's super sharp 6 records inherent skill, he believed that she would be able to find some flaws. If the fake Yu Qiu was sent by the Demon Abyss, Hui Tai Lang would be very familiar with Hui Tai Lang's demonic qi, since most of his body was absorbing Demon King Ha Xian's demonic qi. Even if he didn't know who Hui Tai Lang was, he would still be cautious and even interested. Similarly, if the fake Yu Qiu came from the Demon Abyss, Hui Tai Lang would definitely be able to sense it. If the fake Uchiyo had demonic chi similar to Demon King Ha-Xin's, then he must be an imposter from the demon abyss. Yu Yang guessed that it was most likely. Running away wasn't the best solution. Yu Yang calmly thought about it and decided to find a good opportunity to expose the fake Uchiyo's true face. No matter what, the secret that he was a guy from another world couldn't be leaked out. He had to keep it a secret forever. Otherwise, if Fourth Mother knew about it, her heart would definitely be broken. The real Uchiyo would definitely not suspect his own son. Only the fake Uchiyo would eliminate his son and anyone who could discover his fake identity. Oh, Hui Tailang's body exploded with a terrifying hellfire. Its demonic chi exploded and the black flames burned fiercely. It opened its bloody mouth and roared at Prince of Zijin. In the past, Hui Tailang was incomparably cowardly. However, it had experienced countless life and death battles with Yu Yang. Its sort of fight had already been tempered to be as firm as iron. Because it could learn from its master's words and actions, its combat power and intelligence grew day by day. Of course, its pride as a king had also gradually sprouted. Other than its master, Yu Yang's scolding, which made it feel comfortable and happy, other warriors or beasts couldn't easily provoke it. Otherwise, it would definitely teach them a lesson. For beasts like the Gold Dragon King that weren't from the same tribe, it was fine if it showed off its power. As long as it didn't provoke it, Hui Tailang couldn't be bothered with it. However, the two Gold Wolf Kings on Prince of Zijin's body actually dared to show off in front of it. They even emitted the aura of a tortoise that its master had mentioned. This really made Hui Tailang furious. Scram further away. It's none of your business. Yu Yang waved his hand, telling Hui Tailang to move further away. It wasn't his turn to show off his power yet. Woof woof. Seeing that its master was about to get angry, Hui Tailang quickly pretended to be obedient and ran to the spectator stands, obediently lying down at Yu Bing's feet. It now had enough intelligence to understand its master's temperament. It knew that its master doted on his sister the most. If it ran over to protect his little master, he would definitely not be angry anymore. Normal warriors wouldn't pay attention to Hui Tailang's actions. However, in the eyes of those who were observant, it was shocking. There were many intelligent beasts in this world, but there weren't many beasts that were as intelligent as Hui Tailang. People like Fengqi Sha and Yin Pejun who knew about Hui Tailang were still all right. However, among the disciples of the Floating Mist sect and the Western Lion Pagoda, their eyes were filled with jealousy and greed. An uncontracted spiritual beast, this was a temptation that was hard to resist. Brother Titan, my great desert storm, has a total of 8 skills. Please enlighten me. When the Prince of Zijin saw that Yu Yang didn't summon any beasts and was only using his own strength to fight against him, he was delighted. He felt that this Yu clan's third young master was really too arrogant. With the support of 2 Gold Wolf Kings, the Thunder Battle Armor, and the Golden Moon Devouring Blade, his combat power had increased by more than 10 times. Even if he were to fight against Bai Yunfei, who had the Gold Dragon King beast and many other beasts, he believed that he wouldn't be at a disadvantage. Right now, the Yu clan's third young master didn't summon any beasts. Did he really think that he could defeat him with just his combat skills? Yu Yang didn't reply. He only took out his Hui Jin magic blade and activated it with his innate chi. Purple flames and black smoke rose up. Under his control of fire ability, the purple flames formed a huge whirlpool behind him. When the Prince of Zijin saw this, his heart trembled. If he allowed his opponent to unleash his full strength, it wouldn't be good. At that moment, he couldn't care less about the established rules anymore. He immediately waved his golden scimitar and activated the first move of his Desert Gale technique, rising wind and surging clouds, slashing towards Yu Yang. As soon as the blade slashed down, the sky seemed to darken. It was as if there were dark clouds rolling and covering the entire arena. The wind howled like a roar. The 100,000 spectators felt as if they were in the middle of a desert. A sandstorm blew and the sky darkened. Although the spectators despised the Prince of Zijin's sneak attack, they couldn't help but be shocked by the power of his combat skills. The Western Lion Pagoda disciples and the Grey Wolf Academy students secretly cheered. They all knew that the Prince of Zijin's Desert Gale 8 techniques was a combo that never stopped. Once it was unleashed, the 8 techniques would not stop. If the enemy was at a disadvantage from the start, they would be forced to retreat step by step. They wouldn't even have the strength to retaliate under the Prince of Zijin's continuous attacks. Even the strongest person in the country, the Marquis of Zijin, had praised his nephew's self-created Desert Gale technique as one of the best combat skills in the world. He pointed out that his nephew's only weakness was that he didn't have any element-type beasts like flying sand and gale to support him. Otherwise, he would be able to unleash 200% of his strength. The golden crescent moon turned into a sandstorm, covering the sky and covering the earth. It pounced straight towards Yang, facing the Desert Gale technique, which made the 100,000 spectators' expressions change. Yu Yang didn't use the Hui Jin magic blade in his hand to block it. Instead, he stretched out his left hand and used his index finger to block it. This action was similar to how Bai Yunfei had used a finger to block Lai Zhangtian's full-strength attack. When the spectators saw this, they were all stunned. Could it be that this student Titan also wanted to be like Bai Yunfei, blocking the enemy with a finger? You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.